Robots, AI, taking our jobs, making our lives easier. I look forward to the day when they're also more creative and funnier, and all I have to do is be a receptacle for data input of you like this, you happy. Just want to be a happy blob. Like that dog. We got a dog in the room.
We do have a studio dog.
Mac, the happy potato. All right, welcome to another episode of Two Guns, No Ammunition. The whole gang is back together. We're going to get started with a quick mic identifier. I'm Big Billy, and, well, I guess I have red shorts on today. I fucking know. Nothing remarkable.
And I'm Chris, and titty sprinkles.
I'm Genevieve, and I am now Supreme Overlord of my roller derby team.
I'm Lisa, and I was a Boy Scout.
Huh. That would explain your Adam's apple.
Ooh.
I'm Frank, and
And a
my
lot about
Adam's
Frank.
apple is bigger than Lisa's.
Oh, well, you got that going for you, so that's
Whoa.
nice.
Get the tape measure.
Strutting his apple around.
Just show him that apple off.
Hit me right in my Joey's apple.
I'm Jake, and I have a story to tell.
Nah, shit.
All right.
Story time.
You know what? We're just going to get right into it. Jake, what's your story there?
So Lisa, Frank, and I were
Lisa Frank.
Lisa, Frank,
The-
also Frank and Lisa.
Oh, my God.
I told you people know about that, Frank.
Lisa Frank.
The monkey?
brand, Lisa
Yes,
Frank.
Lisa Frank. It's
The
I
like
monkey?
thought Frank and
It's
I
like-
should go as Lisa Frank.
This
for
is how my
Halloween.
story goes.
Oh, my God. Yes. Perfect. Okay.
Thanks.
Back to the story. Sorry.
Thank you.
You said it.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Lisa, comma, Frank, comma, and I, Oxford, comma,
Yes.
is the way to go.
It's
Goddamn
appropriate.
right.
No, I
Yes.
appreciate
It's the way to
it.
go. It's a whole separate debate. I'm about to introduce a new one and try to my best to glide right through it.
Okay.
Lisa, Frank, and I were in New Orleans last weekend for a wedding, and we had plenty of downtime, as you do, leading up to weddings. And we were at the bar having various organic discussions, and among them came the age-old debate of whether pineapple on pizza is acceptable, right? It's like many things in life, it is a hard yes or a hard no, whichever side of this you fall, okay? I'm on the pro side. Lisa's on the no side. Fine. Totally fine. We can have that discussion later. But in the course of this debate, Lisa made a very declarative statement to me.
Remind you, this is several cocktails in.
You had one.
Wow.
I had one too. We were ordering our seconds. I remember.
I was like a toasted bagel at this point.
Frank was in the wedding, so he had to go there early.
Hard
we
and
were
full of cream?
We were waiting, or was it the night before? Not important. Point is,
No,
Lisa
this
and I were
was
having
as soon as we got there.
Yeah.
This was when he was at the rehearsal dinner.
That's right. It was the night before the wedding. So anyway, not important. She made a very clear statement, okay, in affirming her no-ness of pineapple on pizza, and that was, there is nothing in common between pineapple and pizza than the letter P. I said, no, they both start with P-I. And she responds without missing a beat. Pizza doesn't start with P-I.
No.
And I assured her I was going to make it the first thing I talked about on this show.
Make it the first thing you talk about.
I still maintain that I had some logic going with
She tried to cite her Italian heritage as her
Oh,
authority.
no.
No.
Leading
She
up to
doubled
this
down.
point. No, she didn't double down, but leading up to it.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
Italian, I know what goes on pizza was the
I was
nature.
visualizing the word pizza and focusing on the last two letters. Z-A.
What? What?
You know, za.
For reasons unbeknownst to anyone.
That's
California.
what you call it, za.
Yeah, you were
Right?
talking
So-
about the first two letters, so I focused on the last two.
Yeah.
Natural mistake.
Mentally,
I was thinking you were talking about X, and I was thinking about Y. Natural mistake.
No.
So,
That's what was going
henceforth,
on.
it shall be called pazza.
Pizza?
But
I thought you were going to go with like double E. Like P.
There's many ways.
Nah, it's definitely
There are
pazza.
many solutions.
Posa?
what's the final one?
Pazza was the final solution.
Wait,
You know-
Pazza? Is there a T?
P-A-Z-Z-A. Pazza.
P-A-Z-Z-A.
We're talking about
Pazza.
pazza.
Did I happen to say
All right.
I want
Anyway.
Pazza?
Was it in your fervor to disagree with someone else's opinion that you didn't take in any data into your brain? Like you're like, I didn't hear what he said. I'm definitely not.
I'm just gonna respond how I want to.
No, like
I had
you
to
knew as soon as
disagree.
he opened his mouth and took a breath to reply, you were gonna say
I had
no.
to disagree with all of it.
Oh my god.
Having never tried it, I
Have
should
you?
add.
Have you not tried it?
Oh,
You
I
should.
refuse to try it.
Yeah,
should.
see,
It's
that's
excellent.
just
What
dumb.
was your out? What did you do?
There was no out.
There was nothing.
I figuratively curb stomped her into the bar,
Yeah.
and we went on with our conversation.
Oh really?
Oh yeah.
She just kept rolling.
Kept
Yep.
going.
All right. Well,
She's
that
a
was
trooper.
merciful of you, Jake.
Oh, I was not merciful.
No.
Well, you
But
didn't have a
eventually we
grenade,
moved
right?
on.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the next topic? Do you
I
remember
don't
that?
fucking remember. I was
I
too
don't
busy writing. I left a note for myself about this situation. The reason I had to take a moment to think about it. The note, on my cell phone, the title of the note was Pausa, because that's what I landed on.
Yeah.
oh my god.
And the body of the note was Lisa is a fucking idiot. That was my clue to conjure this story.
Yep.
You
I
know,
had a really good cocktail there, though.
The cocktails were very good.
So good.
I really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice pivot.
Thanks.
We're not moving on yet because I want to talk about this pizza.
Not done yet.
I was really excited to find out that you and I agreed on something so important. Because
And you and I fundamentally disagree, so we might have to come to blows later.
Jesus Christ.
Just saying.
Well, it always comes
Fist
to blows.
blows. Other blows.
I mean, you went there.
Whoa.
not
It
me.
always comes to blows. Why are we?
Hookers
Usually
blow.
one form of blow begets the other, and so forth.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Fuck fighting.
It's his new sport.
Wait, okay. Aside. There's a thing where you can buy strap-on giant dicks and have dick fights. It's a
Nice.
thing.
I need to tell.
I mean-
everyone.
So that
Okay.
you can have your fuck fight.
Yeah, sure.
A literal
as,
fuck
as your
fight.
cock fight with
I had
your.
several.
Different than a fuck
So
jam.
you don't like the pineapple on the pizza.
Oh, I hate
Pat,
it.
no.
Nor do I, but you have literally never tried it.
I don't want to.
What the
Wait,
fuck? You are
have
the
you-
epitome of closed-mindedness over
I don't
there.
like eating dirt.
You
I've
are
never
a
tried
pizza
dirt.
bigot.
It's Patza.
That's
First
a
of all, let's
bigot.
pronounce it right, Bill.
Yeah.
It's pronounced Pat.
She's Italian, so we have to take her word for it.
Yep.
You
Frank's probably
What?
gonna break up with me now because
On
he's just so ashamed.
Italy on what planet?
So
Shame.
ashamed.
On Venus.
Shame.
I've never
With-
seen a
with the
6-foot-tall
Mexican
Italian
Martians?
with a Polish face.
Shame.
What?
you
That's
ever
funny
been
that
to
I'm
northern
6 feet
Italy?
tall now.
Well, I mean, you got to match the fingers since, you
Yeah.
know, they're 5 feet long.
See, here's the thing: the listeners can't see you, so I can describe
So
you
now
however
they're
I want.
envisioning a 6-foot Polish face, pizza loving,
Spider,
pineapple hater.
Slenderman
Yeah.
looking
Wait,
thing.
you guys are literally describing me.
Oh, so I
Oh,
couldn't
wait,
see
you're
that.
not.
Since when are
You're
you
not
6
Lisa.
feet?
You're
I'm
Chris.
Italish.
Oh, shit.
I know we get confused all the time.
Poltalian, Italish. That's me.
So,
Italian.
how do you know you
Pierogi,
hate?
Chris,
fist bump.
Chris, how do you spell
Jersey.
pizza? How do you spell pizza, Chris?
The real way?
Yeah.
Yes.
P-I-Z-Z-A.
See?
How about the other real way?
The other real way.
The pizza New
Tomato,
Order. way.
tomato.
Well,
right?
I mean, your family's from like southern Italy where they spell it differently. It's just a dialect
Garlic.
difference.
Anyway,
Garlic.
But you've never tried it. Why don't you just try it so that you can know for sure? Because then whoever's telling you that you're wrong doesn't have the easy out of being like, well, you've never tried it.
an easy out I leveraged heavily.
it was it would be yucky.
Just do something yucky
Well-
for once in your life, like date Frank.
Burn.
Look, we know you have the capability.
No, I don't want to try pineapple on pizza. I like pizza too much. I don't want to ruin it.
Well, do you like pineapple as well?
Oh, I love pineapples.
Okay, then where the fuck is your logic?
Yep. No.
I love
nowhere.
pizza. I love pineapples. I love ice cream. I love eggs. I don't combine any of those.
Why not?
Why would I put ice cream?
Yo, have
with
you
my
never
eggs?
fucking
No
had
one
ice
does that,
cream
though.
with scrambled eggs in it?
Precisely. And
People
no one,
do pineapple.
People
There's
also
such
jump
thing as
off
bacon
bridges.
ice cream, so that might actually be nice.
You could 100% put ice cream on pizza and it would be dope.
No.
Probably.
You can
It
fry
sounds-
ice cream.
It's pretty
You
close
can.
to like
Fried
the
ice cream.
Actually, that
marshmallow.
reminds
Yes.
me, I need to get ice cream tonight. I want the triple chocolate Haagen-Dazs.
Oh God.
Oh, fam.
What the
Oh, shit.
Is that the chocolate with chocolate fudge and chocolate?
It's like triple
Bits?
chocolate.
It's like 3
chocolate.
times chocolate.
All right,
Yeah.
we're a
It's triple
total
chocolate.
meandering mess now.
Okay. So, did okay, before I said I wasn't, I don't know if I said it on the microphone, but I didn't want to do this, which was watch playthroughs of games and then talk about it. But I have to, because
So
Genevieve
good.
and I have shared an experience watching a playthrough done by two best friends of a game that has been so striking to me that I'm compelled to talk about it. I will now go buy it, even though I've seen an entire playthrough. That game is David Cage's Detroit Become Human.
I really want to play
Become
that
Human?
game, but it's PS4, isn't it?
Yeah.
I need to buy a PS4.
So David Cage, if you're
awesome.
not familiar, has always had an interesting style. Kind of ridiculous story twists, games that are, I think he thinks are really creatively on the cutting edge, but he always somehow misses the mark a little bit. I like them. If you like his style, if you think it's fun, you're going to enjoy them. Some examples are Indigo Prophecy. He did Heavy Rain, of course.
Chocolate Rain.
I can't.
It's the prequel to
There's
that.
another one. I don't know if he did Beyond Two Souls. He's done he did one with David Bowie in it.
Nice.
An old, but like a lot of it is a lot of his games recently have been like the quick time games where you walk around a room and you piece clues together, and a lot like Telltale.
What's going on over here?
Payback.
The pineapple conversation has come to blows. But,
I love pineapple and I
Okay,
love pizza.
It's got to stop coming to blows, guys, right? We got to stop.
Yeah, so
I hate pineapple
We'll
on
never get
pizza.
anything done. Okay, well,
so
Look,
You
you
can be
don't
wrong.
come to blows, you blow to come. Get it right.
ugh, gross. All right. Okay.
in it to win it, okay?
So this is if I told somebody I did a review of this game, be like, hey, please listen, it starts here, and then they get 3 minutes into it, and they'd be like, oh, Bill's podcast talks about blow and cum.
Blow and come.
I was just
Blow
trying to
and
end the
come.
fucking tangent, okay?
Get your blow and come.
All right.
Blow
So anyway,
and come or blowing?
He's
Blow
It's over now.
apostrophe.
enough.
It's
Enough.
over.
Okay,
It's
settle
over.
down, children. Jesus Christ.
So fuck
I'm
bots.
sorry. I don't know why I called
It's
you.
over now. Bill, please. You want to give that a soft restart?
Yeah. So
Detroit, become
A
human.
hard restart.
Detroit Become Human is David Cage's latest entry. He's known for other games that are like the quick time sort of playthrough, feel out the room kind of games. He's always had a really interesting style. Rubs some people the wrong way, rubs some people the really right way, like me. Like I always think it's fun.
Whoa.
I think
Seriously?
he definitely did Indigo Prophecy, Heavy Rain. He might have done Beyond Two Souls. I can't quite remember. And he did one with David Bowie back in the 90s, which was really fucking bizarre, but worth watching a playthrough. Maybe even buying if you can deal with like old broken mechanics of old games. His most recent entry is set in 2038, and it's about a story about androids. And Detroit has shifted from being the car capital to the android capital. And they're all over the fucking place. They cost anywhere from $800 to $8,000. They're super duper developed, capable, smart. But there's legislation that, the android legislation, they got to wear a little LED on their heads. And so they're androids and they can't harm humans. But there are definitely fuck bots. Like the whole world is going to
Like
depend.
they look exactly like humans except for the little like penny-sized
Yeah, there's a little
LED light on the side of the
and
forehead.
it shows when they're processing or angry or hurt on the side of their head. But yeah. Why don't you talk about a little bit about the game and how it starts up?
Well, I'm trying to remember what the first story is, but you have like 3 story paths that you follow, so 3 different androids that you play as. I'm trying to think. I think the first one is Marcus, right?
No, it's Connor.
Oh, it
First
is
one is Connor, and there's this existence of these androids called deviants, and deviants are androids that exceed the parameters of their programming, right? So they end up
becoming
somehow
self-aware.
developing free will.
Yeah.
And Connor is the deviant hunter. He's the latest model out of Cyber Life,
Cyber life. Yep.
and he's there to hunt down these deviant
Other
androids.
deviants.
And you start by going into a building where somebody's been murdered, and you're trying to learn everything you can about the deviant that murdered this person. And you end up in a really intense standoff with this robot with a helicopter flying in the background on the edge of a skyscraper. And you start to see the inklings of this idea that these androids are developing human emotions and feelings and shit like that. And then it zips to Marcus, who's a happy android living with an old man. and you see how they get along and basically how androids can be friends. And then I think the third one is
Kara.
Kara. She's like I guess they buy her as a maid. She's a pretty basic model in this like shitty house with this guy who turns out to abuse the shit out of his daughter.
Yeah.
It's pretty intense. So their story is that she exceeds her program and becomes a deviant and runs away with the little girl, or tries to anyway. Depends on how the story goes.
So basically, it's a world where these androids are used as like menial jobs, kind of. So like Connor is this extra detective that they have who can do he has certain capabilities because he's an android, that he can like check their other androids' minds and like their memory banks to see where things changed and like what happened.
So there's definitely something like Blade Runner about the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
I think so, yeah. They've referenced it a few times. And then Marcus is like a elderly home care provider, so he takes care of this old man in the wheelchair and like somehow picks him up effortlessly. And they've never really defined how strong these guys are, but then Kara, like Bill said, is like a maid or a nanny. So, and you see, at least through some of the variations of the gameplay, like you'll see the same models in other places in the game. So like I think you see Kara at one point, like she sees herself as another android walking a stroller after she's become like aware of herself and has her free will. So it's kind of like, it's weird because it's just like seeing a clone of yourself doing the job that you're meant to do, and it's kind of sad, but
It's so David Cage has these weird idiosyncrasies, like pauses in dialogue, subjects sort of staring off into space, really sort of inappropriate responses to like how you and I would talk. And it has caused some problems in previous games because you're like, what the fuck? Why? It's like Cole Phelps in shit, what was that?
LA
Detective
Noire?
LA Noire, yeah. You're like talking to a 12-year-old rape victim, and it's like, pressure a little, and why the fuck are you lying to me? You know, you're like, wait, nobody would say that, Cole. That's not what I meant. So that
But they're
sort of happens
robots.
in these David Cage games, you know. But in this game, it works perfectly because it's not people, it's androids working as people, right? So you're like, oh, this is what dumbass android would do. They would totally fuck this up. Stare at nothing.
yeah, there's some times where you can choose your response is say nothing, and it's
You
just
stand
awkward.
perfectly
It's just
still.
more awkward silence, and then something else is prompted. Like I don't know
Are you Dark Brotherhood?
what.
No one.
In Skyrim, when the
Yeah.
Dark Brotherhood quest lines, you always have the option of say nothing.
I think that goes all the way back to Morrowind.
Yeah,
Anyway,
it does.
sorry.
So I really think that we're at the first generation of stuff where David Cage has the opportunity to explore his creativity where he's fully enabled to actualize it, right? So like Heavy Rain looked really good when it came out. I think it was one of the PlayStation 3 debut titles, but it doesn't really hold up super well. The Detroit Become Human looks incredible.
Oh yeah,
It's on the PlayStation 4. It looks absolutely insane. It is the most photorealistic game that I've ever seen. And like they do so much stuff with facial expressions to make it look naturally human. And I remember seeing it years ago when they started adding little micro expressions like, you know, things on the corner of your eyes, the corner of your mouth, muscles moving in there. And now it looks so good, right? But it sort of hits that uncanny valley sometimes. And whether or not they do that intentionally or like they made a mistake in perfectly replicating human expression, it enhances the game experience because these robots, you know, are people made too. So if the game itself has a shortfall, it can easily be explained away with the androids themselves. But it looks tremendous. The opening screen, you're talking to an android lady, and it sort of establishes the tone of the world. She looks like a friggin' person, except for a little processing light on her head. And it like immediately immerses you in like, I can imagine seeing this in front of me. Like, that's a fucking, oh wait, no, it's an android, you know? So, this quick time story I keep sort of referring to, like think of the Telltale games like Walking Dead or Wolf Among Us or whatever. You have a bunch of choices, you examine different rooms, and you find different clues. One major criticism for a lot of these games is it purports to have the endings affected by your decisions, but oftentimes you will run into a situation where it just seems like no matter what you did, X would happen. Well, this game is very, very, very affected by the decisions that you make, even if they seem sort of unnatural. And we know that in two ways. One, they show a choice path at the end of every level. They go through like
It's like a tree almost.
a tree. Yeah, you did X. You could have done, one of three things, and then you can sort of guess what the other three are. And then they show the percentages, the global percentages of players who'd made the choice that you made.
That's
and then it
pretty
shows
cool.
there's two branches, from that decision. It could go one way or the other, and then it leads to this other one, and it's 1-1, and then it goes to another box with three choices that you could have made. And if you make this decision, it reunifies with your other one, right? But if you make this one, it goes and it ends really, really early. It could be like, such and such dies. And you get to look at the percentages along the whole way, and you see how everybody else played it, how you played it, and how many other options there were to go through the world. They also show like clues you may have missed in the setting, which means that you get different options. So if you do things like maybe you find a hidden gun, later on it'll pop up that you have the option to use that weapon. Maybe you befriend your police officer partner so that later on he has the opportunity to trust you as opposed to just blowing you away because you're another crazy android, right? And it shows you that there are these things that you could have done but you missed because of the choices that you made. And it really, really enhances, I think, the feel of everything. The other thing that shows that the choices that you make a difference is that we had a character die.
Yeah.
In our playthrough, don't let's not say who, because we got somebody in the room who wants to play. Somebody died. I would think maybe 50% of the way through the game, and the rest of the game was affected. Like there were hundreds of choices, hundreds of little selections in different choice trees that you simply couldn't make because that character wasn't there anymore. And you're like,
That's so cool.
Yeah. And you're like, fuck,
It
dude.
sounds like what so many like RPGs aspire to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like where places where games like Fallout 4 and Skyrim have missed their mark,
Yeah, they've really fallen short in that aspect.
where the original games
Especially in a game designed to be so open world and so about freedom of choice. They really across the board, all of the choices lack any sort of impact on anything whatsoever.
And it's budgetary, whereas with Detroit it sounds like they only need to account for so many things that are external so they can account for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then that makes for a really cool choose your own adventure gameplay from the sound of it.
Oh yeah, and the nice thing, one of the nice things about the decision tree that you can see is that that they thought about those other things. You're not like, I wonder if they even considered this. You can see, well, they thought about a bunch of other shit, and you're like, I only have thought about 3 things. They have 5 there that I could have done, right? So instead of taking it on faith and getting sort of an empty feeling, they prove to you that no, we made a lot of plans. You just made the decisions. I have one major criticism. I only have one big criticism is what I'm trying to say about this game. And it's that there are a couple instances where the choices that you have do not clearly depict anticipated path. You're like, okay, I want to be pro-Android. Everything I do, I want it to be anti-human, pro-Android. And you'll be talking to like, I don't know, a cop. And you would expect like, beat cop to death, negotiate with cop, surrender, or kill yourself, or something, things like that. But it's like, be confused, get angry, smile, handshake. And you're
So
like,
you can't really tell what the reaction
so you're
will
like,
be
all right,
to
I'll
it, or like
handshake
how
to be peaceful,
serious.
and then your handshake turns into like a belly to back suplex and you snap his neck and you're like, oh, you murdered the cop, and you're like, wait a minute, what?
Or like he takes it like super offensive.
Yeah, he's like, wait a minute, what are you doing touching me, android? And you're like, what the fuck?
How are you supposed to anticipate that?
Yeah, how was I supposed to have
All
any
it says is handshake.
Yeah, and so the issue is that sometimes it's not clear how to achieve what you're going for. And
Maybe that's kind of part of it, though. Like, are you playing as an android? So, like, maybe the android's like, oh, I'm supposed to handshake, and then the human just acts completely differently.
That's kind of part of it,
This is exactly why the android thing is such a good platform for this director. Because I can totally believe that explanation. Be like, all right, well, that android probably would have fucked it up. And
that human was raised to, you know, with the comeuppance of these androids to like treat them strictly as property. They're not supposed to exhibit any like really true human sentiments. And now this dude's trying to put hands on me.
Right.
Where if I knew it was another person, I would take it as just like a greeting.
Yeah.
Now it's like super spooky, and dangerous.
So, and like I can even see it as like, you know, in the android's mind, these are the subject headings of the different, you know, actions to take, but it doesn't really understand the full implication. So even though I'm limited as a player, it adds a little bit of unpredictability to it. So in trying to do like a perfect first run through in exactly my planned way, that would be very frustrating, but it has the secondary effect of totally increasing the replay value.
Oh yeah.
We watched an entire playthrough of this game, and it is few and far between that I ever play a game and want to go back and play it again. I knew a third of the way through this game I was going to have to pick it up. I watched all the way through to the ending. And there's, you know, I've played games before with 20 endings. I get one, I go, good enough. No, we need to play this game like right now. And part of it is that unpredictability. Watching Matt, Pat, and Wooly from Two Best Friends play whatever. There was literally one scene where like a police droid comes over and it's like, fight, hide, run. And he goes, I'll run. And then they totally fail their mission unexpectedly. And everybody's like, all right, we fucking hate you for being a coward. And they're like, what? I thought it was just like running around the corner. And now I want to go back and make a different decision.
And see how it affects everything else.
Yeah. Now, the guys who were playing it had the criticism. Like, they literally, David Cage has he has a lot of, like, a well that he likes to go back to. And they created David Cage Detroit Become Human bingo. And it was like robot drugs, massive apartment, homeless people are nice, children love the robots. There's like all these different themes, and they posted it right on their playthrough so you can play along. And I think they almost got double bingo, but they missed one tile. And I guess it sort of rubs them the wrong way. They all said they liked it, but all that goofy shit that he didn't bother me so much. It's really heavy-handed in how they compare robots, these conscious robots, to slavery. And then they just like take a bunch of civil rights stuff and like you know, they're putting marches in there, and there's even one like you can choose a symbol and it's like an upheld fist and shit. You're like, I mean, this is so on the nose. It could be a second nose, you know. Like, it's just. But if you,
wouldn't that be beside or above the nose?
Perhaps, but I just, you know, that didn't bother me so much. Maybe I haven't had my total fill of David Cage, so I've got a lot more patience. But boy, howdy. We were watching. They were coming out with episodes like every other night. We were like, oh my god, I can't wait till a new one is released. Turn everything off and watch it together. It was so cool. What are some other thoughts that you'd like to share about the game?
I think you've pretty much summed it up. Like
do you have any favorite parts or anything?
I mean, I liked Connor's story a lot. And I guess it was just the way they played for Marcus didn't really feel right to me, but.
Well, our listeners don't know anything about these characters,
right.
So maybe describe what they do a little bit. Well, Connor's.
I don't want to get too in detail.
Right. Well, Connor's the droid, the deviant hunter from Cyberlife, and he's. It's pretty neat because he has the opportunity to get killed, And if he does,
as
they
many
just
times as you want, almost.
yeah, they just make a new one and they send it in.
With the memory
And
chip.
yeah, and they upload the memory. And apparently he has a little serial number on his shirt that if you look close, it gets increased every time you die. But they got this. The thing that really struck me about this guy is they got this voice actor who has sort of like his voice is almost kind of like, I can't do a good imitation of it, but it's a weird voice. And I would never think to cast it. But the guy absolutely crushed it. And like, not just that it was an interesting voice, and it sort of set him apart in that he's an android, working against androids. But whoever the voice actor was sold the shit out of it. There's one scene where he like gets a flash of fear, and I could hear it more than I could see it displayed on this photorealistic face, just in his guttural reaction, and it made the scene that much more powerful for me. But what did you like about Connor?
I think just as a character, like his whole, I want to say personality, even though he's a robot, but I think that was more interesting to me to figure out like how deviants work, because he's finding these guys after the fact of them committing some kind of crime or going against their orders, and like you get to follow along and piece together things in the room, whereas like the other two sort of like they have their own stories, but they do eventually like turn into deviants, and you just are them. Like,
Yeah.
it's a little less exciting, I want to say.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Because
So-
like Marcus, he gets involved in like this android revolution to, make androids seen as people. And you got to make the decisions on how to make that work, which is sort of fun. And then, of course, Kara's trying to stay safe from the abusive dad or whatever.
Right.
And that's like, we're like, all right, well, I guess I got to survive. But, when you're playing as Connor, he's like hunting down these deviants, and you're actually piecing things together. And I think my favorite part about him is that he's an android, but he's got really good people skills. But if somebody's like, are you like, you got to do X, Y, Z, he goes, I'm just a machine. I'm programmed to do this, so that is what I'm going to do. And like,
Yeah, it's
so
a little upsetting. Like when you are unsettling.
I'm gonna have to start using that.
Yeah, I am just a machine here to do what I am programmed
so, like,
to do.
These people, these humans will get like really upset at him and be like a huge dick, and then he's like just totally unfazed. I am not programmed to care what you just said to me. I am programmed to hunt deviants. Goodbye. And then he like fucks
This
off.
is my mission.
Right? And then
Which is also great when if you do play as Connor and he does die, you come back and you have the same human police partner, and he's always like, what the fuck? You can't keep showing up. I saw you die.
But aside from the characters themselves, which were all fun, all really well acted, stories were, although some of this civil rights stuff was like really on the nose and perhaps cliched, it was still well written and well acted. A lot of the twists were all very exciting. Some more obvious than others. But I also appreciated how in the game it wasn't really over the top. They made some conscious decisions that I thought were really good in supporting the plausibility of this world. One example being that the androids themselves are not superhuman strong. They may be superhuman smart. They have like unlimited memory and they can communicate through the internet and shit like that. But they're not like super strength. Because if you just had hundreds of thousands of super strong androids doing their thing, there wouldn't be any level of competition with human beings. Another interesting thing is there's a lot of newspapers to read that give you more exposition. You find out that like the armed forces,
Lore.
2/3 of them are androids now. That there's a conflict going on with Russia over rights in the North Pole.
Fuckbots are a thing, and like you can
Fuckbots
buy
are-
like a partner for yourself, and like that's becoming more popular than human
It's all over the
relations.
place. There's tons of people who hate androids because androids are literally taking their jobs. And I was like, oh yeah, that will surely be a thing. Although they're really angry about it. And I think if they just got some fuckbots, then things might smooth over a little better.
Probably.
Yeah, I mean,
What more could you ask for in life than a fuck bot?
right? And like a house. Got a fuck bot in a
It's the
house.
same thing.
Oh my god.
See, a house or a
Does it-
really
Oh, I'm
fancy
sorry. I thought you
apartment.
meant like a housemaid. I
No,
was
no,
just like,
no, no.
Yeah.
I don't really
a
want
fuck
to
maid?
be
Wait, no, what is it called?
hitting that fuck bot
Bang
out in the
maid.
middle of the
Yeah, it's a
field.
bang maid.
A robo bang maid.
You know, so
Can it make you a sandwich?
Probably.
I mean, it has to obey its programming, right?
Yeah.
ooh, well, here's the thing. They have a really neat visual representation of how a robot becomes deviant. I don't want to ruin it, but they could, like, I was like, I didn't think they would address it all. I'd just be like, oop, the robot is now. No, they do a whole artistic representation. It's very, very good. They made a lot of really good decisions in this game. And at the very end, Matt made the observation. He's like, you know, if David Cage got off of this, everybody else on the teams did a great job. They could make like an absolutely knockout game. And like David is sort of standing in the way with his own idiosyncrasies. But I don't think I would have given a shit about this game if David Cage wasn't attached, because I love his goofy shit. You know what I mean? He's like one of those directors you kind of love to hate. You know, I don't
Like
know.
Todd Howard.
Kinda, yeah. In the sound of it.
Like even like Nicolas Cage. I'll watch anything with Nicolas Cage in it. He's got a movie coming out in September called Mandy, right?
Does he play Mandy?
No, he
Oh my
plays
goodness.
a lumberjack who has to fight evil Russians, I think. And his weapon, on the movie teaser, it said he uses a chainsaw
Named
and
Mandy.
other weapons. Now, here's the thing about that description. In the movie trailer, he forges a fantastical orcish-looking silver axe.
Named Mandy.
And they're like, we're not going to mention that in the summary. Just a chainsaw. That'll get everybody.
Wait, so
in
the
here.
weapon's name is Mandy, and when they talked about him, they didn't mention his weapon named Mandy? But
No,
chose-
No,
we
I just
made
made
that
that up.
As she is wont to do.
Should have been named.
Anyway, I'll watch anything with Nick Cage in it.
Mancy.
I'll play anything from David Cage.
I get liking game developers or directors of any artistic media or whatever, despite their shortcomings.
yeah.
I give you my relationship with Bethesda.
Mhm.
But Nicolas fuck Cage?
Yeah. So
the bees.
Yes.
Not the bees.
He's an artist,
well, here's the thing.
to be honest.
He is
a troll artist.
he's the modern disaster artist. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
I mentioned before that at my work we've started the Bad Movie Club,
Oh, you did do that.
and he is in so many of them.
Yes, he is.
It's been like a train
Okay.
of just
He needs to
Nicolas
keep
Cage
funding his terrible spending habits.
Yeah, well, and here's the other thing about it. Every one of those goddamn awful roles that he takes, he plays his heart out. He's Nicolas Cage every goddamn
I don't
time.
recall ever seeing him especially bored.
I'm going to steal
Which is a
the
good thing.
Declaration
Yeah.
of Independence.
Because I watch a lot of Red Letter Media, and I'm familiar with the bad actors that they see a lot, and every one of them at some point in their career, even their favorites, has been bored at some point,
Yeah.
and it shows. And I haven't seen enough Nick Cage to know. I don't recall seeing him be especially like lazy in his shitty roles,
No.
which is commendable in its own right.
Yeah, he works. And you know what? I mean,
It's probably why he keeps getting hired.
Yeah.
to point this out, though, they do put, even in some of these shitty movies, they do put him opposite of some really beautiful women. And it's, you know, his hairline is now
It makes no sense.
like on the back of his head, but they still cast him as like really attractive. and
like
stuff. But
sexy
what was it?
businessman.
Jessica,
super powerful.
Which
Alba?
one's married
Biel.
to? Yeah,
Jessica
Jessica Biel makes out with her.
Nicole
the really
Kidman?
Nicole Kidman makes out with her. Is married to her in a movie. Nicolas Cage. I mean, you know, he just got on an SNL skit where it could have been in the past couple of years. I just saw it on YouTube. The Big Nose guy who made Lonely
yes.
Island songs.
Oh,
Andy
Andy
Samberg.
Samberg.
yeah.
The big nose
He's
guy.
Nicolas Cage, and the real Nicolas Cage is a clone of Nicolas Cage,
Yeah.
and they have a conversation with each other on Weekend Update,
That's awesome.
right? So it's like he takes the piss out of himself.
Yeah. Well, that will instantly earn my respect.
Yeah.
Like no matter what his career looks like.
So, you know, that I feel that way about David Cage, and I really, really enjoyed this. I can't wait to. But you know, I wasn't sure if I really wanted to pick up a PlayStation 4. I mean, eventually I would get it, but now we are going to buy one simply to play this game because of how many different decisions we missed out on watching it. Because literally, like I said, that one character died 50% of the way through, and the whole game was done.
Like, you can still see the pathways show up at the end of each chapter
Yeah,
for
and
the
at
other
the-
characters, where like there's this whole other section because X character died. You don't get to see that. Like, you don't get to even know what those options are. It's
So-
just
They
like,
don't tell you it's because they died. They just said, here's a bunch of other options that could have happened for some reason, and you're like, fuck.
yeah.
So with the game, with the story arcs, right? Just three characters. Is it like as a given save one of those three, or do you kind of hop between all three of them for the whole story, like Grand Theft Auto 5?
Yeah, it switches between the three different characters as you progress through.
Okay.
So it's not one linear thing. And like as the story progresses, depending on the choices you make, the characters may or may not run into each other.
I feel like that's how you'd have to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was interesting when Two Best Friends played it, each person on the stream played a different character. And they made an interesting point, because if you had one player playing the game, you may play all three characters
Seeking a singular goal that they wouldn't
exactly.
have.
You
Yeah.
might be metagaming, right? Which is
Right.
a term that we use in Dungeons and Dragons a lot. It's you play as the player have knowledge that your character does not, so your character makes decisions that they wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with the three different people, they all played in their character's best interest. I am
Like in the same
Connor.
room with each other. It wasn't so like people, they knew about the other guy's storylines.
Yeah. But
while
they were
they're
only
playing, but
emotionally
yeah.
invested in the characters that they were playing. So it's like,
It sounds like they could have metagamed together,
Yeah, if they
but
wanted
that
to.
would have taken more work,
But
but was
yeah,
probably worth it for a popular
Even at the end
podcast.
of the review, they were talking about like the one guy was going totally pro and like as little killing as he could, pro robot or pro android, and then someone was like based on their relationship with a human. They were making decisions like they wanted to have a.
Don't say any names. It was like the one guy's like, I played this way, and then I wanted to be friends with this person, which organically made me play this other way, not because
Yeah.
you made your changes.
Mhm.
But it was neat because each one was like, one guy was Connor, one guy was Marcus,
Marcus.
the other guy was Kara, and they all played in their character's best interest, and it made a really, really interesting story.
That is cool.
Yeah. I just think it is the best. There might be a better game out there with decision trees where your shit actually affects the end result. I just haven't seen it. This was killer. This is the game that is going to get me to pick up a PlayStation 4.
So, someone in this room that I am close to,
Farted.
Damn it, Mac.
Safety. Doorknob.
recently purchased a TV of their own, finally, and has been
I can't tell what
considering
this tone is.
purchasing a new generation console for that TV. And I have recommended at first was staunch, just get an Xbox so that when I am there, I can play all my games on your Xbox.
I don't think I've ever heard you talk so slowly, and it's making me very upset.
I'm trying not to say like after every other word.
Oh, okay.
Also, it's easier to understand, I think, when I speak a little on the slow side. And then I have to say less to take up a given amount of mic time.
Which we're doing heftily now, you were
Yes.
saying?
So,
Suck my buzz. Suck my buzz,
Nice
Frank.
long
Yeah.
pause.
Dramatic. Pause.
Thank you, Calculon.
so I was very into the Xbox train just because I own one, and then obviously this is Lisa's apartment that I'm talking about. Then I
Obviously.
realized this is a perfect opportunity to get a PS4 and actually play all of these exclusive games, because in between Xbox and PlayStation completely owns Xbox in terms of good exclusives, right? All Xbox really has going for it in terms of exclusives is, Halo, essentially. I can't think of too many others that are...
The new Tomb Raiders were, but I don't think they are anymore.
Yeah. So when I think about like what to get, I already have two Xboxes. I think PlayStation is absolutely the way to go to finally catch up on not just like Detroit Become Human, which is one of those games that I'm interested in, but a ton of other PS4 titles that I've
God
never
of
gotten to play.
War?
God of War is another.
Heard really good things about that.
Yeah, the Uncharted collection is another that I
No
played.
shit.
I played a couple of them for the PS3 back in the day when my roommate had a PS3, and I never really got to play them. There's Bloodborne is part of the Dark Souls, Demon Souls, FromSoft.
It's like a cousin
developer
of-
train. Yeah,
of
it's
Dark Souls.
basically very, very similar game, but it's a PS4 only game. So these are finally games that I might actually be able to play if someone actually does decide to buy a PS4.
Lisa, how does this make you feel in making financial decisions for you?
Used.
I mean, I'm super stoked because now I have my N64 hooked up.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just waiting to order a cable so I can get my PS2 hooked up. So I'm already like on the PlayStation Sony vibe. And
Also,
I've been
Kingdom
wanting
Hearts 3.
Also Kingdom Hearts 3. So I've actually been wanting a PS4 myself anyway.
Ooh.
So, you know.
You said the magic words.
You know, there
Yeah, I
have
know.
been such good titles that came out on PlayStation, and I've always enjoyed the platform, but I don't know why it just ends up so easy for me to not buy one.
I agree. My roommate, one of Jake and I's former roommates in college, had a PS3. And when it comes down to it, I think I enjoyed playing the games. Even if there were two games that were on the same, I enjoyed it more on the PlayStation than on Xbox. The only two things that have kept me on an Xbox, I'll say three. I'll change it to three things. One, Halo. I love Halo. Two, the Xbox Live interface, and in general, the Xbox Live network is 20 times better than the PlayStation network. And three, all of my friends have an Xbox. So if I want to play with them, got to have an Xbox.
Yeah.
Though a good portion of them now do also have, now that we're older and we can afford to buy more than one console, most of us do buy both.
You know,
I'm just cheap.
yeah, and I guess the big difference would be which one did you get first, because then you end up being there for game premieres and adding to those communities and stuff. But it sounds to me like PlayStation might really benefit from some cross-play, since everybody has an Xbox. If you could pick up a PlayStation and play with them still.
And they're generally staunchly against it.
Yeah.
Yeah, PlayStation as a
and it's
corporation does not want to allow you to play with people who own other
And I
consoles.
think that is mostly because in terms of the console wars, they are winning currently. PlayStation sales are far exceeding Xbox sales globally.
Really?
In the United States, I think Xbox outsells PlayStation by
I was just recently reading about this. I'm pretty sure the USA is the only place.
But I was going to say that the
Xbox
US
is
is the only place that the Xbox is beating out PS4. And that's strange to me for the main reason in that I think the PS4 is cheaper than the Xbox in at least the two lower models. So like if you compare an original PS4 to an original Xbox One, and then I don't remember what the second PS4 is that competes with the Xbox One S, but if you compare both of those models, I think the Xboxes are slightly cheaper, and outside of the US, that's going to be the main driver of which one is purchased is purely cost, because countries like Brazil and Italy and other, like, not developing, they are developed nations with a decent sized middle class, they're going to be far more budget conscious than a US consumer.
Stop buying all that Pazza.
Yeah, well, it doesn't surprise me though that
Hats.
an Xbox would be more popular in the United States. I feel like PlayStation has always felt sort of like an older person's console. Even when I was coming up and playing, like the people who had PlayStations were like my aunts and uncles, or my adult cousins. For whatever reason, I can't really put it.
I wonder. Now that you got me thinking about it, Bill, I wonder, because I had friends, family, and myself had some mix, in the late 90s, early 2000s, of Nintendo and PlayStation consoles. And I think if you look at the IPs across both of them, I think the PlayStation just always had more mature content, whereas Nintendo went more, cartoony on balance. And Xbox didn't come into the game until early 2000s, right? So it kind of, I think, was trying to mac on PS4's general style. Maybe not trying, but like the games that were coming out for it were often ports of those, or the dedicated ones like Halo. It's rated M. Very distinctive, mature content. And because when we were kids, it was really Nintendo, Sony that were going at it with a bit of Sega that fell out. I wonder if that's where that conception comes from, because I kind of share it.
I think you're definitely onto something with that, because I recall when I was growing up, when I had my PlayStation, I had Tony Hawk's Pro Skater on that, and I was playing on that, right? And all the music on there was regular, original, uncensored. You go to the Nintendo 64 version of Tony Hawk, all the music's like censored, they change the words, and it's like a totally different like experience.
And also they're not whole songs on the N64.
Correct.
They're loops of like 1 minute slices of the song.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Save space.
But that was a limitation of the console.
But like even today, if I were to think of like a 13-year-old gamer, which there are a ton of in the United States, I would think that they would have an Xbox and they'd be playing Fortnite. For whatever reason.
That's an accurate assessment.
It's very accurate.
Like maybe it's because PlayStation has always had really modern designs for their machines, and I saw that as more adult.
Yeah, but the Xbox, especially the Xbox One X, the newest one, that's about as sleek looking as you can get for a console.
I just remember the 360, and like it looks rounded and dumpy, and
yeah.
I don't know what it is. I haven't seen.
You know
the
what?
Xbox
One thing
S.
that I think is a huge help for a more mature. So let's say somebody who owns their own dominion, whether it be they are an adult that has an apartment or owns their own house, is that PlayStation has always been bigger on the train of adding, like, the original PlayStation could play CDs and PS2 could play DVDs, PS3 and PS4 could play Blu-rays, right? That, I think, is a big selling point to somebody who, especially, like, if you have kids of your own, like, I don't want to buy a DVD player and a game console, I'll just buy one that does both.
Right.
And if the original Xbox or the PS2, between the two of them, the PS2 plays DVDs and the original Xbox doesn't, I'm going to go PS2. And then I can throw on, season 3 of SpongeBob that I just bought on DVD for the kids. And then same thing with PS3 when that came out. I remember Xbox went HD DVD. And PlayStation went Blu-ray. And if like a Blu-ray player when they first came out were like what, $300-$400?
They were the price of the console.
Yeah, so might as well just buy PS3, and then I can also play video games, and I have a Blu-ray player. I think that has a decent bit to do with it.
Yeah, I don't know, but I used to when we first started this podcast, I really held the opinion. I was very frustrated by console exclusives. Like, I understand why they need to work or why they need to exist for companies or why they do exist.
Capitalism.
Yeah, but I really didn't like the idea of it. The console wars in the end sort of don't. I don't know that they do a whole lot of positive for the gaming world. Like, if we had one sort of machine that everybody tried to develop the best software for or best experience on the same platform, I think that might be more beneficial than, and you could customize it or whatever to some degree. Then again, consoles are good because they're not as customizable as PCs, and developers know what they're making games for. They know it's going to run on here, that kind of stuff. But now that we have literally so many options, there are so many choices of games out there, you cannot consume all of them. There was a point at which, I had I think I had a PlayStation 2, an Xbox, and a Nintendo GameCube.
I did too, though. That was the only generation of which I purchased all consoles. And although I will say, right now, while I will probably not be purchasing a PS4 myself, there's a good chance I'll get my own Switch, unless somebody wants to reshare the Switch with the podcast.
Yeah, yeah, you can go ahead. Yeah,
because I really did you buy Mario?
Not yet. I meant to. That's literally why I took it. I never did. I'm so sorry.
I really want to buy Mario. I'll buy Mario, because I have a friend that is he raves about the game and is just like, Frank, you need to play Mario. He forgets that I don't have a Switch, that the time that I had a Switch, it's yours. And I was like, dude, like if Bill's ever done with the Switch, like I will absolutely buy Mario. I was like, I'm pretty sure he actually bought it. Like if I can get that back from him, and just I really want to play that game. It looks incredible.
I've heard nothing but raving reviews about
Yeah.
that.
I'll bring that back, and I'll bring that mini fridge I'm going to give to you next Sunday. On next episode, I'll talk about handing over a mini fridge and a Nintendo Switch to Frank.
Woo!
But
We'll stream the ceremony.
this would that would actually be kind of interesting. There was the Steam sales going on right now, and talking about different systems that did or did not sell. The Steam box on sale on Steam sale right now for $2.50. If it's still
What?
Yeah, it's when I went
trying to unload it because it costs too much to store it somewhere.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, they're selling the controllers for $40. So I guess they're making their money there. But I don't think you need to use a Steam controller with a Steam box. But I was like, I'm just gonna buy 7 and give it to everybody on the fucking podcast, or 20 or whatever, and we just put them all over the house.
Oh my God.
So you're always
brilliant.
playing on your machine.
Dude, actually, could you think about that? You get like a little 23-inch TV for your bathroom, mount it above the toilet, and then put a Steam box on it.
Oh my gosh.
It's beautiful.
And then it's like whenever you're taking a dump, you're good.
Yeah, no matter where you are in your house, you just have.
Ever
a Steam
since we
box.
got that damn box, Frank takes 4-hour shits.
Right,
How
Can't
is that-
take it anymore.
How is that any different from now?
but
It's
Your
like 3.5.
hemorrhoids must be
It's like 3.5.
terrible.
But it's just so like there's so much back in that time when we were saying when I had all 3 consoles, I could conceivably, if I had spent my limited funds on nothing else, or if I just had more money, could have conceivably gotten and played all big name, big excitement games that were coming out at that time, like the Halo games and fucking Pikmin and whatever else. I can't remember them all off the top of my head. Now, if you were to have all the big dogs, plus now you'd have to have a PC. So if you had a Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and a PC, there is 0 chance that you could get and meaningfully play every good game that you hear about now.
Yeah,
Even just the
you wouldn't
big
have the time.
titles.
Even if you didn't have a job or anything like that, I still don't think you would have enough time to do all of it.
Yeah.
And at least be any good at any particular one. Because a lot of those are more competitive. Like a game like Fortnite or PUBG, right? You need to invest, honestly, especially more so for PUBG than Fortnite. I think you could not necessarily master, but at least become decent enough at Fortnite where you don't feel like an idiot dropping in every game. With PUBG, I think you need to play 100 hours before you get competent at the game.
Yeah. Like, I was playing Overwatch really heavily there.
Another game where you need to play 100 hours minimum before you get competent at it.
Yeah, and I was halfway decent at it, but then the guy I played with, Carl, friend of the podcast, switched over to Blackwake, bought me a copy. I haven't touched Overwatch since. I actually did jump on, well, I really haven't meaningfully touched it. I jumped on the other day, picked up my old main character, and everybody was super pissed at me. I was like, oh, I'm terrible at this game now. Everybody's progressed beyond me.
They did also put out a couple of big patches for Overwatch that changed the balance a good
yeah,
bit.
and that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I'm just totally
You need to keep up. You not only do you need to put 100 hours in it to understand the game, you then need to keep up with the game. And like every time there's a patch, you need to read the patch notes, and you need to probably go on, unless you are one of those people that plays it 8 hours a day, you need to go on YouTube and listen to the professional Overwatch players talk about the patch notes so that you understand how to play your character better.
Yep.
It's a bit much.
It is a lot.
It's a bit much.
It's an extraordinarily rewarding experience for those who want to put the time into it.
Yeah.
But you need to put, if you want to really enjoy it, you need to put a lot of time into it and learn the ins and outs of it.
And interestingly, we are no longer in a period of time where you can say knowing that much about a game is wasteful. Conceivably, if you worked hard enough, you could be a pro. You could make money off of it.
Yeah.
What a world we live in. Speaking of patch notes, Blackwake does a lot of that. I found a bug. There's a lot of bugs. They're reporting it. It's like pre-release. And I had an interesting experience because if you recall, I stopped playing League of Legends because people were mean. I've had a couple of times on Overwatch where my feelings were hurt because people were mean. I was playing Blackwake, and it's like a pre-release game, so the community is relatively small, and everybody's pretty positive and supportive. And like to underline that, like the good, so there, there's a crew of these ships, and then one person plays as captain. The captains will give tutorials to everybody on the ship at the start of every game, reminding them of good practices and how to aim, how to shoot, how to identify enemies, because there are so many new players. Well, I tried to play a new ship that I'm not very good at, and this guy just tore me up, told me how terrible I was.
While you're captain?
While I was captain. And then I got mutinied, which was very embarrassing. You know, like half the crew voted to kick me out, and then somebody else was captain. And we got to the end of the game, and this player was like, he said, like, his name, he's like, such and such username will be captain next time. Such and such is best captain. And I got on and I said, such and such is a fucking cunt. And the other guy, I was like, such and such is the biggest cunt. And then the other guy's like, yeah, he's a cunt who needs to shut his mouth. So somebody backed me up in standing up to this internet bully. I was like, huh, interesting. That experience I had before. So fast forward to the next day, I've licked my wounds from my embarrassment, trying to build a little bit of confidence, you know. But I remember that feeling from the previous day of somebody being mean to me on the internet. So one guy who was...
It never goes away.
He was trying to learn how to sail these big ships, and they're tough because they're like really slow to turn. So if you get too far out, you're just like a sitting duck. It's over. And if your crew sucks and everybody's new, so often they suck, you're fucked. Well, this one guy was just yelling at our captain. Like, he called him like a bitch. Like, this bitch doesn't know what he's doing. Why the fuck are you doing this? Why the fuck are you doing that? And I got on and I said, I've never understood giving your captain shit while he's actively trying to captain. And the guy goes, I'm sorry you're bad, bro. I'm like, first off, I'm not the captain. Second off, you're a cunt. And somebody else gets on the mic. He's like, yeah, you are a cunt. Leave the captain alone. And then a third guy comes in. And now we're all razzing this guy who's like giving shit to the captain. And it goes silent for a little bit. And the guy gets back and he's like, I don't know why you're not sailing in such and such direction. And this other guy's like, why do you keep saying that? We have heard you. Nobody gives a shit, you fucking asshole. Like, we counter... like gave shit to this fucking internet bully, and then we all got on. We tried to vote kick him off the server, and he shut up for the rest of the game. He got to the very end. At one point, he told me, he's like, "Too bad you're not good." I'm like, "I'm the second on the team. I have 10 points less than you out of 16,000 points or something." I'm like, "Bro, we're not that far apart." Anyway, so we shut him up for the rest of the game. We wrapped it up. I said something nice to our captain. The one kid grumbled and he went to another team. I didn't have to play with him anymore. And I was like, all right, I felt like I did some positive things for the community, right? Because in Blackwake, it's not like typical matchmaking like an Overwatch where you get on your certain level and then the game company behind the scenes matches you up with other players. On Blackwake, you pick a server, so you actually choose where you want to go, and then you play with the people there. So there's like a regular community and then some new people who will cycle in. These servers are really popular, so they're often full, a lot of the same people, but you can establish a server culture. Believe it or not, you can actually do it.
I remember from the days of Counter-Strike.
Yeah. And
even Battlefield games to this day, Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 1, there are a good number of servers that establish a good culture because they have serious mods who enforce the rules and will not take shit from anybody who wants to jump on and try and break the rules. And when they do that correctly, you have you know it may not, and that's one thing that some people who tend to get kicked from those servers and banned from those servers do not understand. If you walk in to a server or drop into a server that says no shotguns or anti-aircraft missiles, and you start busting out your automatic shotgun and corner camping, waiting for people to come around and boom, pumping people full of shells, and then you get kicked, you're like, well, it's in the game. It's like, well, there's a reason that there are servers in this game where you can establish your own rules.
Right.
There are 500 servers active right now. 400 of them allow shotguns. Go pick one of those. There's no reason you have to be here. But when you do have mods that are active like that, the people who want what they want, they can go to that server and they can get the gameplay experience that they want. That is a great game to be a part of.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. I felt like I actually can affect the server culture in a positive way, and
Calling someone a cunt
well, yeah, and like
That's a good
when
thing.
they're being a cunt.
yeah, you just like, and it's funny because
Big old meat curtain.
some people get really into the whole captain thing, and like, at first I didn't like referring to people as captain because I was like, this is a fucking game. It's a little weird, but it does make it easier to identify. But some people call you sir and like bark back at you in like almost a role play sort of way. And I'm like, bro, we're still just playing a game. Like, we're having fun. That was the one thing I almost said to the guy on the second day. I was like, I almost said to him, imagine being such a fucking loser that I'm getting mad at somebody for being bad at a game that hasn't even been fully released yet. Like, where do you got to be in your life that you're like that, So I don't know. I just my plan is to just like, when I'm captain, I still can't order people around. I can't bring myself to do it. I'm like, all right, get ready on the port side. I'm going to swing her to starboard. We're going to light her up. Please. All right, fire away, please. Yeah. Can I get a distance on these other guys?
If it suits you, I'd like to fire the port cannons now.
And
Thank you very much.
But it's like, and I won't even be like, a lot of people are like, you got to do this. You're fucking it up, and I'm just like, hey guys. Like, if there's a hole in front of you, we got to patch it up while you're there.
It's like you're like a kindergarten
Bill, your
teacher or
captain
something.
speaking. If you look to our left.
We are being viciously attacked.
I get nervous as captain. I'm like working on it. I don't know why, because but I'll run around and be sort of like the pseudo first mate, so that the captain can focus on steering the ship, and I talk to the crew, and I'll be like, gravity ant or whatever the fuck their name is. I'm like, why are you standing still? There is a hole in the ship right next to you. You need to fix it. And it there's nothing mean about it, but you can actually help people get better. And it was interesting because I've been playing on these 3 games, really tough to get in during busy hours, a lot of really good players, and I was like, this is the place I want to be. I couldn't get in the other night, so I went to a new server, and nobody knew shit there. There was like one elite captain, he'd been playing the game long. He was terrible. He was just awful. I did my best to support him. When he left, I captained a little bit, gave it up. Next game, I'm helping the crew know what to do, like sort of first mate. And the captain goes, you know what, Duke, which is part of my gamer tag. He goes, you'll lead us better. And he just passes the captainship off to me. And I just sailed around as captain for the next hour and a half. And guess what? I tried some things I never tried before, but I sucked at it, but everybody was just having a good time. I was like, hey, let's give this a try. Let's give that a try. They're like, all right, Captain, let's make it happen. One game, we just rammed everybody. We just ran our ships into it. I'm like, all right, boys, start shooting. And they're like, you go over, we try to murder this ship. And we jump. Oh, my God. I'm like, we had one game, we cut our way through 2 ships, and then we ended up dying. Like, we fought 20 guys with 6, and they eventually killed us, so our ship sunk. But we all had a really good time.
It's fun though when you have your squad and you might not know what you're doing. You're all kind of like, all right, we kind of all suck, but let's start doing this.
Let's just try
and you're
stuff.
like, guys, we got to do this, and then you do it all, and you're like, we did it.
Yeah, and I've never really had that before because I had the server setting situation in Counter-Strike, so I knew a lot of these guys. As far as you can know somebody through a game, I mean, we would have international conversations because some of them were in Scotland and shit, and Ireland, and I play with a lot of Australians now. But it wasn't so much a team setting. It was one team versus another team, but you can have a voice communication with just your squad. And I remember friending people in Steam isn't so easy as it is in Overwatch. Because in Overwatch, you're just friending them for that Overwatch game. In Steam, you're friending them through all of Steam. And so I don't know, it feels a little less casual, a little more invasive. But I tried to friend a couple of these people. But it was interesting.
None of them wanted to be your friend.
No, a couple of them did. And, I can just go back to the same server, and they'll probably be there.
He's got too many hairy meat curtains.
But it was 3:30 in the morning. this morning, so late last night, and I go, all right, guys. There was only like 11 of us left on the server. We had just run train on this other team. I was like, all right, guys, I gotta go. And they're like, what? Really? Come on and stay. And like, come on. And I was like, it's 4 a.m. here. And they're like, all right, fair enough. But it was just so cool that in one gaming experience, I made casual acquaintances that like they didn't want me to go. You know, we were just fucking around. They didn't want me to go.
Bill has never experienced.
Jesus Christ.
People who like him.
I dread every episode having him come over here.
Yeah, it was. I hadn't felt that way in many, many years, and it was just nice to see it again. You know.
Yeah. That is probably the main thing about online gaming, collaborative gaming that I miss.
Yeah.
When it happens, it's like, hey, we play together often. Hi.
Yeah.
Let's play together some more now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's cool. They friend you. They invite you to a game. You're like, oh, hey. You're like, hey, how are you? And you're like, oh, my God, I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
That's exactly what we say.
That's what I say.
The way we
Get
say it.
so excited.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's so great to see you again.
Oh my gosh.
How are
actually
you?
asked
Listen, there's a
about
hole
how
in
I'm
front of
doing.
you on that side, and you guys could just like fire the cannons. Thanks.
If we could maybe kill the other team, that'd be super cool. Thanks, bye.
There's a,
Hey,
there's
thanks, bye.
There's another feeling I get though, because I've done it in Overwatch. I friend a bunch of people, and then like we have one magical night, and then the magic just never happens again. We never get back. We all friended each other, but at first you're like, that's kind of a bummer, but it's exciting because it can happen again, right? I don't know. It felt so bizarre. I felt like such an adult and at the same time such a child because I stood up to a bully on the internet.
Attaboy.
This which is like I'm like a little kid bullied, but at the same time, like
What was
I'm
that?
helping to. I'm a little kid getting bullied. That's what kids sound like when they talk.
That's how I sounded when I was a little boy.
why don't you not make
Hey, mom. Hey, mama, I'm a little boy. Mama, these kids picking on me. I know what to do about it now.
Oh boy.
all these people playing the video games are being real mean to me, Mama. I don't want
Mommy, they're picking on me. I don't like it very much.
I stood right up to that bully,
I'm sorry.
What's
what
that
language
guy's
is
name
this?
from King of the Hill?
Boomhauer?
Boomhauer, yeah.
Yeah, I'm all saying
All the kids are Boomhauer.
Boomhauer's kid.
Let's go. Listen, that little Johnny gonna pick on you, mom. You gonna shoot him in the head.
I mean, I don't like to.
Oh my God.
Mean to me on the internet.
Wait, are you Chinese now? What's happening over there?
What?
That's
That's
racist.
clearly Texan.
That was an accurate Texan if I ever I heard
Texasian.
one.
Yeah, but I think I
Fusion.
think I did some real positive out there. Tell people to be nice to each other.
You're a class act, Bill.
I don't know, man.
And then you went and made fun of kids.
It's really funny though because as much as like gaming has progressed and matchmaking and all that shit and all this new social stuff, one of the best experiences I got was going back to the old ways. The server setup that we used to have 15, 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Genevieve, throw some final thoughts out here about Detroit become
Again?
human. Yeah. I just want you to give 2 sentences about how you felt about that game.
Now that we've been discussing Blackwake for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I don't know, I liked it a lot. It's like watching a movie, but you get to play it. And I think why I like Connor is also because when you play as him, it feels kind of like the Batman games because you get like detective mode, sort of.
He's also really hot. All the robots are hot.
Mm.
He talks like out of the side of his mouth. He has a little bit of a Drew Barrymore thing going on.
That's the future though. Sexy robots pretending to be
It's
Sexy,
just a-
stroked out robots.
It's just a glitch in his mouth drivers.
sex.
Mouth drivers.
No, that's the future. Sexy robots sailing around on old timey pirate ships, no
With-
scurvy, singing songs and
With
their
making
mouth
friends
drivers.
with.
From their broken mouth drivers.
friends with internet bullies, man. I'm just an android.
Oh, they're all kid robots.
High seas.
I'm done.
All right.
I quit.
Texas
the show.
Pirates.
All right. Shut
Texas
down
robot
your
children
processor.
pirates.
We're going to catch you on the flip side of this break.
It's break time. Jesus Christ.
Welcome back, everybody. We're about to get hard with our wear and talk about some hardware.
Oh boy.
Chris, you made another. You see, that's why I paid the big bucks, because I'm so slick.
That was very clever.
That was good. Thanks. You know what? You know how I know how bad it has truly become? Is like I knew that was bad, and you guys didn't even react. I just got a vacant stare.
I didn't even flinch, really.
Yeah, you're like, God
There
damn.
it goes again.
Like just typical
I
Bill.
stepped in dog
Like
shit.
Lowering
Don't
the
worry, Bill. I'll
bar.
get a laugh track installed soon.
Oh yeah! The machines will make me feel good.
It's just that recording of you doing that though.
I'll make my own laugh track. Of many separate recordings of myself.
Oh man, that sounds like.
Doing
Giggling in
different
various
laughs.
ways.
Can you also do the one where it's like a hot scene in like a '90s sitcom?
I'll do a suite of sound effects using my own voice.
Oh,
It'll be
that
great.
sounds tremendous.
It'll be great.
All
And
right.
just your voice.
I'm
Just
petting
mine.
the dog with my foot.
All right. Here. Cheers.
Yeah.
All right.
Aww.
This is not a pinata party, whatever the fuck that was. All right.
What?
What did you pick up here, Chris?
So, my controller that came with my Xbox One S decided that it didn't want to stay on unless it was plugged in.
Okay.
So I bought a new controller because I recently leveled up. So I was like, I'm gonna treat myself. So I picked up the Combat Tech Xbox One controller. That's what this is.
Now I thought you just got a regular controller with like a custom cover, which I think is pretty common. But when you had me hold it, when you had me hold your hardware, I could really feel the difference.
Yeah, it's throbbing, isn't it?
So what's going on with this controller?
So basically, I mean, I saw the advertisement on the Xbox dashboard, and then after that, of course, because advertising, it started popping up around the places. So I was like, oh, that looks pretty cool. It sounds like it has cool features. Let me pick it up because I need a new controller. And I'm really, really happy with this controller.
Yeah, it was pretty steeply priced though. It was like $70.
It was like it came out to like $74.99.
Well, bear in mind your standard wireless controller for Xbox is like between 50 and 60.
Yeah,
I can't believe that.
Yeah, it's been that way for years.
it's pretty expensive, but I needed a new one, and I was like, I just recently leveled up, and as Jake put it,
What the hell
as
did-
we leveled up.
Wait, what do you mean? You leveled up in life?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I
Getting
moved
a new
on.
job, getting
Yeah.
married, something
Yeah.
like that.
We're leveling up.
Yeah. Okay.
Positive life events
Yeah.
is a level up.
So I got this, and
I need to cut in though. I'm sorry. You guys are turning into a really cute little bromance. You know that? You guys.
is it great?
Yeah, like you play Fallout on your computer.
We do play Fallout side by side.
And,
We
and
do.
Chris sits here and he plays Fallout on Jake's Xbox. And you level it up together.
Yeah.
Man, it just
Relationship goals.
Right? Y'all are jealous.
I know
as fuck.
I sounds like I'm like baby talking to you, but it's
Well, you know, we have moved beyond condoms at this point, so. You're not wrong.
Oh, you got me. All right.
Raw dog.
So what?
He's not
what about
joking
this
now.
made you actually decide to get it? What about this controller made you?
I kind of they actually sell the grip a lot.
The grip.
The grips.
Okay. You know, I do
The
remember
rubber.
my hands, my sweaty ass hands, getting slippery on the old Xbox controllers because the plastic would like lay down nice and smooth in your hand.
Yeah, it comes with like a very, very light grip on the stock ones, and they definitely do wear down, which was happening to my stock controller that I had. So I got this guy, and it's got a green finish, but you can get it. There's like a tactical recon version of it too. It's pretty much all the same features. This is a different paint job. This is like a military green with gray and random orange triangles.
Well, that tactical triangles is well known, but actually, I really like the green. It's like a matte green finish, but it's been sort of grayed to the point where it does almost look gray. So it's not your straight up like out of the 70s. I'm gonna spray my military vehicle green. It's military themed, but a little bit stylized color. And anyway, it's not very cliched from my point of view. I quite enjoy it. Jake, you're handling both controllers over there. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm comparing it against a not my original controller either, but just a generic wireless Xbox One controller against his. I'm trying to feel out the weight. They're about the same. I think yours might be like a hair heavier, but I'm not a scale. However, it is lighter than my
The stock one for sure.
yeah, my Xbox is the Forza Special Edition Xbox One that came out, so it makes goofy car noises when you turn it on and shit. And it came with its own controller that also had very, very nice grips, but I also don't use that anymore because the sticks wore out. So I slowly walk forward all the time, and it's unacceptable.
God damn, that is so frustrating.
Yeah.
I had a controller to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I put a lot of work on that controller. So that one, that Forza 2, which also has very nice grips, is like slightly chunkier and slightly heavier than yours. So yours is like right in the middle, and it's got a very nice texture, rubber grips on the inside of the I don't know what you call these dongles that you actually hang on to. And the button layout's pretty standard. It's got a little kind of a texturing where about the heels of your thumbs.
Yeah, like, and it's not like a rubber. It looks
subtle.
like it's like a rubber texture, but it's more. I think it's more of like a grip rather than like a texture rather than like rubberized.
It's like a weird like plastic over plastic mesh.
Yeah.
It's a very comfortable controller though.
Yes.
Okay, so on the inside of the I guess the two handle parts where your middle ring and pinky finger wrap around the grip, there's definitely some texturing there, which with what feels to be the typical controller plastic, except it's got that.
It's rubberized.
Well, no, it's textured, but there's a word for it, like when you do it on a gun stock. I can't fucking remember what it is. But that's providing a little extra friction, which is nice, like I said, especially when your hands get sweaty. The stuff on the top, it almost feels like a raised sticker.
Yeah,
And it's in a nice place. I like it, but if they just made like a literal rubber section, like rubbery plastic, that would go on my thumbs, I think that would be a little more what I was looking for.
yeah. I kind of wanted it to be. I mean, as nice as it is, and you definitely notice it. Like if it wasn't there, I would notice, and I can definitely feel my hand slipping.
Yeah.
I do kind of want that top part to be a little bit more aggressive. But I mean, overall, like my hand, where I put my hands is where it stays.
Yeah, this, Jake was talking about the weight here. It does feel pretty good. I usually like heavier controllers.
It's on the light side.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel chintzy. Right. The weighting is a little odd. It seems a little forward. I think I would like something that would rest a little more to the back of my hands, but not so much that it feels uncomfortable. Oh yeah, I definitely feel some more mass in Chris's controller here. I think yours is a little more balanced.
Yours being mine, just a stock Xbox controller.
The stock one is a little more balanced all the way through. I think Chris's is a little more front heavy, but not problematically so. The thing that I am really pleasantly surprised in is the joystick feel. The joystick is something that you're putting so much torque on them. There's two of them. You're trying to move it around with your thumbs, and they'll wear the hell out. They put rubber on it, but the rubber wears off. I don't know what they got going on here, but it is nicely friction so that you can get a little bit of slide if you want to do some more dainty movement, but you don't have to like beat the balls off of this thing in order to really get aggressive movement. That feels pretty great. The buttons seem to be a little more raised, a little more firm.
Yeah, and I think they got a little bit more of a click to them too. Maybe just because it's new, but like I do like the action on the buttons.
Yeah,
You want to give it a feel, Frank?
Yes, I would actually.
It's sort of a little tough for me because my hands are not comfortable being that close together. I don't play a lot of console stuff, so I'm not used to it. But I definitely think that is a step above the
stocks. Yeah,
I mean, and you know what? If you're telling me that they're typically $50 to $60, it's worth the extra 20 in my.
Yeah, for the rubberized grips, and even like going back to like your conversation about the joysticks, I like the sensitivity of them.
Really.
I'm at a point now in my Fallout playthrough where I can really dig deep into my stealth playing, and moving slowly and just very precisely is effortless.
Yeah, I have been in positions where I need to get a tiny movement, and my hand is in. I've somehow ended up in a weird position where I only have a corner of the joystick under my thumb, and if I take my thumb off of the joystick, my character will fall to his death. So I need a small movement in there, and I just don't have the grip in it. Like, it slides, and my character goes off on some wonky way. So if that is true, what you're saying, and of course I believe you, but if that remains consistent throughout the lifetime of the controller, that's going to be an absolute godsend. Frank, what did you think of it now that you got hands on it?
So I really like the rubberized grips. When I play PUBG specifically, my palms get pretty sweaty. Mm-hmm. Knees weak, mom spaghetti type deal. And when I know this is stupid for an internet meme, but when people skip there's vomit on his sweater already and they just go right to mom spaghetti, I get a kick out of it every time because I've heard that song 10,000 times in my life. So the unexpectedness just gives me a giggle.
I just like the memes where it just keeps saying mom spaghetti over and over again because I'm an infant.
So I really like the rubberized grips with that. Not that I've never once got so excited or sweaty in the palms from a game that I dropped my controller. All right?
You're not an infomercial character.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you find controllers utterly useless? Do they fall out of your hands like microwave butter?
Microwave butter does fall
Then
out.
this is a controller for you.
Yeah. So I do like
Billy
that.
Mays here. Well, sorry, go ahead.
He's dead.
It just
Cocaine, man.
it feels like it'll sit much nicer in my hands when I'm playing for an extended period of time. And that's, in general, what I want out of the controller is I want it to be very comfortable in my hands because I'm probably going to be holding on to it for several hours at a time. And I also want it to last a while. And it feels slightly higher quality than the normal controllers that come with the Xbox, of which I have two. And so I've got the one that came with the original Xbox One, and then I've got the one that comes with the Xbox One X. And I will say even the stock controllers seem like they've gotten better over time because the one that I got with my One X feels better than the one that I got with my Xbox One. Now, I don't know how it stacks up against the Elite controller because I have yet to actually hold one, but I think that's probably something else we can talk about. In general, I'll give Xbox, or Microsoft, I should say, a ton of credit in you can go out and you can get your controller, you get a controller with the console, right? And you can pick up pre-owned controllers that work perfectly fine from GameStop, eBay, Amazon, whatever. I think you can pick them up as low as like $30 or $40, depending on how old they are and whatnot, which is not a bad deal compared to some of the other, basically compared to PlayStation.
Yeah.
But you could also go out and spend $150 on an Elite controller, right? So you've got a range of accessories that you can go through for an Xbox, and they also got over themselves and started putting a regular headphone microphone jack on their controllers instead of having the proprietary USB dongle. So any gaming headset that you buy for PC can be used just fine on your Xbox now.
Oh, okay. So I'm looking at it here. It has, it does have a nice microphone jack. Is this an HDMI cable on the bottom? What the hell is this?
No, that's their proprietary USB dongle.
Oh, but they also include a regular old micro USB.
That's for charging the battery, which I have which I did want to bring up too, because
Wait. Before we get there, I noticed this. I'm holding the controller. I turn it upside down to look at it. They flip the letters that label the triggers and the bumper buttons on the top of the controller. So if you had the controller right side up, they would be upside down. But because everybody who's playing and wants to look at the labels is going to flip it, they've labeled it upside down so it reads correctly. That is what a nice little attention to detail. Right? I quite like that. All right, Chris, please continue. Lie my hand into Jake.
I feel like it uses less power.
That's great.
Like, this battery lasts a long time. Like, I've had this controller, 2 weeks now?
Some of them.
and I had a battery with it full charged from day one. I just had to plug it in today,
Wow.
Oh.
That's
and I've been
incredible.
playing every day.
Wait, what's their
Whoa.
proprietary port for?
A headset.
Headset.
It used to be for the headset, but they now include.
So it's both.
Yes.
Yeah.
So your old stuff that you bought that was proprietary, you could still use, and you can use. And
Yes.
Wow,
Correct.
what a move! What an un-Microsoft move.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive.
Which is something I'm going to get into in a little bit when we're done.
Yeah.
Here, I would say I really like this idea of giving people the opportunity to purchase whatever level of merchandise that they want, so that the companies can make more money as long as they're operating in good faith, right? So a base model isn't below expectations for an acceptable level. Like, their $30 models don't constantly break. You could buy it. It doesn't feel the best, but it will get you through the lifetime of whatever system. And then everything from there, you can step up and get the Cadillac. I would still like to see a controller for like $25.
I think you can buy wired ones for about that price.
Yeah.
Oh, I love wired controllers. So that okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. But another thing that doesn't bother me at all is that even though systems have come out, they can still develop their hardware. They can put different hardware with the same behavior into their machine, but it would update like power consumption and stuff like that, and the general overall weight. And what a great way to package something like that. Like, listen, buy this next level controller, and we're going to sneak in extended battery life because natural progression of our hardware. It's been 3 years. We now can, for the same cost, make something with better battery life, but we're going to sell it to you, and you're going to love it. I don't hate that at all. That's a pretty neat way for.
I mean, that's everything, and it doesn't matter what industry you're looking at. People get better at making things over time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, make it better. If you make it better enough, if I find value in how much better you've made it, I will gladly buy it.
Yeah.
Especially because there's basically three things that I have stopped being such a fucking cheapskate with. And that's 1, clothes, 2, golf, and 3, video games, right? So those are the 3 things basically in my life that I'm not going to say need, because I obviously don't need video games, right? Or golf. But like video games
or
and golf.
clothes, you stud.
Thanks. So golf and video games are my 2 biggest hobbies, right? And I spend a large amount of time doing both of them. And there is absolutely no reason why I should not invest. I should not buy the cheapest stuff available, is my point, especially with video games. Like, I should go out and buy one of those controllers, because if I am going to put so much of my time into video games and playing Xbox, then yes, I should get a good controller that will last for a long time. Not that either of the controllers that I currently have. I actually have 3. I have a wired that Lisa bought me for Christmas, and I have the one that came with my original Xbox and the one that came with my Xbox One. But I should buy one of the nicer ones with the pads, right? It makes sense. If I play video games for 30 or 40 hours a week, Jesus, that's as much time as I'm at work. I should invest the money in it. I shouldn't be such a cheapskate with one of my biggest hobbies.
Absolutely. And
That was my mindset when I purchased it too. I was like, you know what? I'm playing a lot, like a lot more. This is probably the most I've played video games since like my early teens. Like, I'm just like back into it again, and
Yep.
I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm putting the time in. This is a wise investment, and I'm happy with it.
And now, so that in the interest of us not sounding super disconnected, this is predicated on having the ability to fund a hobby, right?
Yes, yes.
And that's my major thing. I like having all these options, as long as there's a solution for people who do not have, 27 to 32-year-old independent adult level means, right? Just somebody who wants to enjoy video gaming as a hobby can have a solid solution to do that for an affordable price.
You know what? I don't think that video games have ever been in general so affordable, right? Because right now you can buy an Xbox One new for like $200, right? And the last time a video game console cost $200, that was like a current-ish generation, was, I think, when the original PlayStation debuted in, 1996? 1996, I think it was. 22 years ago. $200 was worth a lot more in 1996 than it is today.
I could have sworn the PlayStation 2.
I think that was $299 when it debuted.
Yeah.
Oh, when it debuted. Wait, the Xbox One is that price when it debuted?
No, but it is the current. But and that's another thing is that I guess technically it's like a half generation behind.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I don't know. It seems like the price dropped, and you can pick them up even cheaper than that in certain instances. I would not be surprised if you could find a refurbed Xbox One for $150.
Yeah.
Well, my 1S was refurbed for $189.
So you could probably find, you probably could find it even cheaper.
Yeah.
I saw a deal not too long ago where you got an Xbox One new with 3 games for $239.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like you can get Game Pass now, right? Which is
Love it.
Yeah, $15 a month, and you get to play not shit games, but dozens of, in some cases, AAA title big name releases. That's, I mean, when else have you been able to do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, we really have come a
Not
long
for
way.
some time.
Yeah.
And and that really underlines how much progress the consoles have made in affordability.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, I was sort of struck by the price of a new controller. Sounds like it's like as expensive, if not more, than a new game.
Mm-hmm.
But these systems have been around for so long, and there's so much mass adoption. There really is a legitimate secondary market. You can pick up quality used stuff for an affordable price. You don't have to buy these. You can pay $15 a month, and $15 a month for that level of variety is pretty great. I prefer to, have direct ownership over my stuff. I say as I have 100 Steam games that I don't have a physical copy of, but I can't argue with the results. You can get quality content. And there's a lot of it out there now for a reasonable price.
You can pick up a
wire.
wireless controller for as low as $18.
Wow.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And then, of course, on PCs, there's the crazy Steam sales. There's abandonware, which we said is like they're older games, but nobody gives a shit about them anymore. The IP, so you just download them and play them. I found a website that just runs emulators of old games, including Zoombinis, which we're gonna get an LP of.
Oh, no. Oh, dear.
Yeah, because there's also that's awesome. That's a really cool. You have made real. Some really positive progress the gaming industry has made. Thank you for bringing that.
Yeah, man.
bringing that along. That
Feels
was
pretty
darn
good. I'm happy
cool.
with it. Definitely, if you're in the market for a new controller, I definitely would say go for it.
And you know what? I'm gonna stretch that, and I'm gonna say, for those of you that do have the means, who play a lot of video games, which I'm assuming if you're listening to a video game podcast, you play a lot of video games, right? Invest the extra $10 to $20 at a time that it takes to set yourself up with a good setup. It's going to make you so much happier when you finally get 2 or 3 hours to sit down and play some games, or longer for those of you that have more free time. When you sit down, like I have, Lisa bought me back for Christmas. She bought me a controller, and then she bought me this little stand that holds the controllers and also came with 2 rechargeable battery packs that you just set it on its stand and it recharges it while it's sitting on the stand. I never run out of batteries on my controller, ever, because I just, as soon as I'm done with it, I just set it right back up on the stand and it charges. And if I'm really smart, I'll remember to switch out the battery packs and charge both. So if I do happen to play for like 10 hours at a time and it drains the battery, I just switch it real quick, and then when I'm done, I'll charge both of them again.
This is a really good exploration of something that I'm sort of having a difficulty dealing with as an adult, and it's purchasing things that aren't necessary but do enhance your quality of life.
Yes.
I'll give you a direct example. My car has 116,000 miles. I love it that it's given me this much. I hope it gives me 200,000, but after it, I'm going to get to the point where I need to buy a new vehicle, and I don't want to buy a model year new or whatever, probably like a couple years old, but I want to get a pickup truck, because I'm always moving shit around, whatever. I was in a vehicle, a guy, he bought like a Ford Expedition, but it was like the Starship Enterprise. It had fucking everything. I mean, we were
like
driving
$70,000 though.
yeah, but he got a steal on it for like $50,000 because the guy needed to get it off the lot. But like, it's got like chrome wheels, it's got Bluetooth everywhere, it's got like charging for your phone, induction charging for your phone, heated and cooled seat, navigation, satellite radio for the lifetime of the goddamn thing. It's got everything. And it is so ingrained in my mind, this guy who I change my own brakes and oil and fix my own house and shit like that, that if I can do it or if I can do without, I should not spend the money, because then I'm being wasteful. Think about how I could save that money and have it work for me, you know? So, I can just get a manual transmission truck. I just need 4-wheel drive, nothing fancy, power windows, power locks. That's all I want. Then there's Bluetooth. I'm like, so a couple of times, and like I've always put out money for shoes because that's important, and like tools and stuff like that. But I have recently acquired some quality of life increases. Like I went from my 8-year-old 20-inch monitor to a 40-inch TV to play my games on, and it's like there's just this big sense of relief, right? I'm like, I didn't realize I was not as comfortable as I could have been until I started playing on this new thing with great colors. I'm like, oh, this is so nice. And that's what I'm thinking about when you're saying like invest in your own hobby, because in a way you're investing in yourself.
Yeah.
And like I was all about wired controllers, and then I picked myself. Well, actually, Genevieve picked me up a wireless mouse, and now I can lay in bed and go through YouTube. And I'm like, oh my god, this is so nice. It's so unnecessary, but it's just a little bit of creature comforts. I'm like, damn, maybe I should start doing this stuff. And I think the thing that really bothers me the most is I know that, one, it's completely unnecessary, and two, that is where like the big markup on stuff is, right? Like you can get a base model of anything for a pretty competitive price, but when you start paying for the options, you're like, I could get this installed aftermarket for $200, but the car company's charging me $1,000. You're also paying to not even think about it, and you know it works. It's OEM parts. It's just, so I'm still having a hard time working through it. I don't know how much money I want to throw at myself for that kind of creature comfort. I need a new chair. I need a new desk. I need a new monitor. I need a new PC. You know, how much is reasonable?
All of it.
Yeah.
Pay the
Yeah,
most.
I'm with you, Bill. It's tough. Like you, I'm sitting on a car with 140,000 miles. It's paid off, right? It's been paid off for a couple of months now. I do know I want a pickup truck, but unlike you, I don't have the need for a pickup truck. But I will get something with 4-wheel drive, right? And it's one of those things like, how much am I willing to spend? How much do I want to invest in myself? How much will it end up being worth it to me? Look at this chair, right? I've got literally the padding falling off of it. I also need a new computer chair. The few things that I've spent money on in the past couple of months, really, where I started to realize, like I bought my 4K TV and the Xbox One X. That was like $1,300 that I dished out for that. But you know what? I mean, when I sit down and I play my games in 4K and they run very smooth, like it's
you got your fucking money's worth.
Yeah, exactly. Like you sit down and it gives you the sense of happiness and detachment from the other worries and stresses of your life that you really, it's hard to find that, right?
Yeah.
And if you really do enjoy games, right, or you really enjoy whatever hobby it is that you have, invest in those, because I mean, stress is like the number one inductor of heart attacks and everything else that could potentially kill you. Anything you can do to, like, any hobby that you have that's a good stress relief for you, invest in it, and you'll do yourself a world of good in ways that you can't buy in other ways.
You know, and one of the other ways I've sort of come to compromise with myself is that I'll have a night where it's like, all right, I can go out boozing with my buddies, or I can be a big loser and play Blackwake with Carl for free. So I try to make those nights happen a little more often to offset the cost of whatever else I might have done. So I end up saving money in the end with these damn video games. Now, I'm laying on the table. If I were single, that would be a tough fucking decision to make, right? Because I'd be like, I'm burning potential meeting my significant other life partner time, you know, playing the vidya. But
That's how you should say that too.
I mean, that's how I do
I
it.
play video games.
And the main
Vidya.
reason I still
No,
am
just
single is
Vidya.
because I call it the Vidya.
Yeah.
I play
And they
the
think I mean
Vidya.
something else. What? I'm like, I don't mean that, lady.
Wait,
The vagine.
I remember on Friday night, right? One of my friends calls me, and he's like, "Hey Frank, what you doing?" And I'd literally just gotten out of the shower. I hadn't even gotten dressed yet. I went golfing after work with one of my friends from work, and he calls me and he says, "Frank, what are you doing?" And I was like, "I just got out of the shower. I was golfing earlier. Like, I'm going to a wedding tomorrow, and I don't have to leave particularly earlier. So like, I'm down for whatever. Why? You trying to go out? You want to hit the town?" He mentioned that he was in Westchester, and he's like, "No, I'm already on my way home. You want to play some Fortnite?" And I was like, "Yes, let's do it."
Let's do it.
Do it.
So I ate some dinner, and then we got on, and we played until about 1 a.m. probably.
yeah.
And Lisa was here.
Lisa was upset,
No, she wasn't upset.
I fell asleep.
furious,
Yeah.
crying.
So I mean, that's like just like that. Like both of us actively made that decision that we're just like, we could go out, go to the bars, spend some money, or we could sit inside and play Fortnite, which is a free game, by the way, right? And just chill. And we had a great time.
Yeah, and I'm over here having like life experiences playing these stupid ass free video games. I stood up to a bully, and I went out to a bar and be like, "Well, I'm just drunk, I guess." Then I would come back and drink more wine and watch that '70s show and cry to myself and say,
I watched a lot of
"Friendship is just so strong." That doesn't happen to you guys?
Kelso's an idiot.
He fell off the tower again. Didn't one character in that show
Die
fall off
from
the
it?
tower and die?
Yes.
Yeah, somebody died falling off the tower that Kelso falls off of like 3 times throughout the series.
Oh shit.
Yeah, because Kelso's just a dumb goober.
I
like
guess his
he's
brain-
gonna
And
survive.
therefore,
it.
he's invincible.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's not enough crevelations in his head to.
Goober Shield 2.0.
So there's our recommendation. I don't know. I'll update you as I.
Hey, I mean, beyond just what he bought there, Xbox has an entire design lab. You can get controllers that are, and this is not too much of a commercial for Microsoft. This is just for those who are interested and potentially exploring this as an option. You can get controllers that are themed for games. I have a wired one that is Fallout themed, and it has like the Vault Boy on it and all that shit. It's blue and yellow Vault colored. It's pretty cool. They have a Gears of War one. They have a Halo one.
I think I have the Halo one.
Yeah.
Or I have a Halo one.
They have just ones that aren't particularly tied to the game, that don't have like graphics from the game on it or logos or anything like that, but they are like inspired by the colors of the game that are advertised.
You can get
there.
NFL teams.
Yeah, you can get the NFL if you have a favorite NFL team.
Yeah,
You
like
can
there's
get
like the custom paint jobs that you can get on your controllers is incredible.
Yeah, you can design your own too. So if
Yeah.
you have a particular,
No shit.
yeah, and you could get the front, the back, the bumpers, the controller or the sticks, the D-pad, and the buttons all customized to whatever color you want.
Like you can get down to like you can have like this rubber like a different color than
Rubber
like
on the
yeah
inside
you
where
can
your
choose
fingers
color
are.
you can choose that color. I'm pretty sure you can do the battery cover, you can do the triggers, you can do like pretty much anything that's all that you're looking at here you can get done. And then in terms of the Elite controller, I know that you can customize the type of joystick you have. Like you can have one like the PlayStation where it's like a dome, or you can get the recessed.
No way.
Yeah, and then you can get additional paddles down here too. You
Just
can
to
get
feel
those
like a
on
cool
there.
guy.
And I know the D-pad you can get one where it's like a button or it looks like a steel drum, and it has like every direction
I've
on
almost
there.
never met a D-pad that I liked. The D-pad is the directional pad. It's like the cross. If you're looking at the old like
Down, left, right.
Super Nintendo controllers, I'm gonna give a note here aside. Frank just demonstrated how the fuck you vocally make a list, right? You ever had? Do you guys have anybody in your life who does like the up talk? They'll like be in an argument. They'll be like,
Every sentence is a question.
well, no, when they're making a list, but the list doesn't exist. It'll be like, you've got so many chores to do at home. You've got to empty the trash. You need to empty the recycling. You have to do other things. It's so much. And I'm like, wait a minute. Those two things are virtually identical, and the third thing isn't even a thing. You said things like that. Frank did the up talk. He had 5 things listed. That's how you make a vocal list. I'm tired of this.
Attaboy. Yeah, Frank.
Yeah, Frank.
Yeah,
Son.
Woo! Good show, I say.
He has the requisite programming to do that correctly.
Yes.
So.
So I appreciate that. But that
If
is
this, then this.
Jesus Christ.
Shut up, you over there.
Wow. So a lot of that's pretty neat customization stuff. I didn't even know about that. Maybe as I get older and become as wealthy as Elon Musk, I can have the dopest
Customized.
The dopest controller in the land.
controller. I think that's all the thoughts we have on that, right, Frank? You got something else you want to come in with?
all
Yeah,
I've
no,
thought of.
that's all I got.
All right.
That's all.
Jake, speaking of Microsoft, you noticed something that the company has done or not done recently.
Are they micro hard now?
Micro hard.
Macro hard, you mean? No.
That's 2 upgrades from now.
Well, it's 2 opposites, but I don't know about,
Oh my
I don't know about upgrades. But at any rate, yeah. So a friend of mine, Justin, was over the other day, and I forget exactly how we got into it, but we were reflecting on changes that companies make that don't necessarily make so much sense, right? So the Xbox One was and is billed as kind of like a comprehensive all-in-one home entertainment hub sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
Xbox One, audio receiver, nice set of speakers, nice TV, you're good, is what they were pitching. And they're not wrong. But they got rid of something that they used to have all the way back to the original Xbox. And that was the visualizer for when you just want to play music. It's fucking gone.
That's weird.
And if you've ever used Windows Media Player back in the day and you would just put on music, they had a whole library of, just a black background with like rotating colors and different patterns. Here's one that looks like sound waves, just like straight out of a mixer. Here's one that's like bars jumping up and down. Here's one with like a crazy electric pattern, and it like leaves like echoes of itself when the music gets louder. Stuff that responds to just the sound waves that the program's already interpreting for you, but adds some like visual flair so that your screen isn't just boring while you're doing it, right? Especially nice for parties, right? Which is right up the Xbox One's alley in that, hey, no one's going to be playing the Xbox, but I can stream my music from my computer upstairs, or pop in an audio CD, or jack in my iPod or whatever, and play my music, and just have something on the screen as like a visual background for the social setting, right?
Yeah.
Subtle. I did it all the time. Just chilling. And I'd put up the visualizer, read a fucking book. And then I'd reflect, if something was profound in whatever book I was reading, I could like chill. If I want to look at something else, I could, turn my eyes up to the screen and just watch the shapes play off the music I was hearing.
Something profound, like Spot did run.
He did. And when I learned that information, it just really changed how I thought about running and about Spot.
Yeah.
And how they intertwined with each other. But, that wonderful prize-worthy book aside, the Xbox One got rid of this feature. And so did Windows Media Player.
What?
Why? They didn't want to shell out the few $1,000 it would pay to pay that guy to port a few old. They didn't have to change. They didn't even have to do new ones. Just bring them back from like Windows Media Player 4 versions ago. Just pop them in and do it. But this wouldn't frustrate me as much as it does, and it doesn't terribly. But I do wish it was still there. If it wasn't antithetical to Microsoft's goal, and I don't know what their budgeting looks like, but it's a big fucking company with a lot of fucking money, and it cannot have been so expensive to add one more tab to the media player.
Yeah, I wonder, are they going to release a product that would somehow generate them revenue that does something similar? It See,
I'm not aware of any program that does that for you. I mean, like, being a de facto amateur audio engineer at this point, I get to look at waveforms all the time, right? As I'm editing this podcast or my music or whatever. But that's a tool in that setting.
Yeah.
The things I'm describing were not. Okay, one of them was reminiscent of that, like I mentioned, but most of them were just like cool, trippy shapes and like kaleidoscope stuff. And it was just such a small, simple thing. And there's no rationale to get rid of it other than laziness.
Yeah. That makes me wonder, do you remember the old pinball game?
Yes.
Did they get rid of that off of your...
Played the bejesus out of it. I actually haven't checked on Windows 10.
They better not have gotten
There
rid
was
of
an
that.
old pinball game that you could play on the old
The
Microsoft.
space one?
Yeah, Space Cadet.
Yes.
Windows XP.
Pinball.
Windows XP.
I mean, I think it was even before that.
It might have been in like Windows 2000 also.
Yeah, and it was a great game. It came with
So
it's like
good.
it was like it came with Minesweeper, whatever. But I wonder if they've gotten rid of that now.
I haven't seen it or heard about it in years. I remember it fondly. My brother and I would just sit in the computer. I would get kicked off because my mom would have to go check her emails or whatever. It was that long ago.
There appears to be something comparable for free off the Microsoft Store. Pinball Star. it's
Oh,
called.
that's it.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is almost
there it
exactly identical.
It's very, very
Nice.
similar. Okay,
All right.
so it doesn't come with Windows 10, which is fine because we don't need any more bloatware.
No, that looks just like
This is exactly it. Okay, so you can download it from the Microsoft
Now,
Store.
is there an audio visualizer app that you need to download or you could download?
Maybe. But like this thing was native to Windows Media Player, and Windows Media Player comes with Windows 10.
Yeah, no, this
Even though they have their
point
own
remains.
app.
If you want to purport yourself as like a media center, having a basic audio visualizer function seems like it would be a no-brainer. Like I remember it was the one that I always liked. It was a circle, and the waveforms, instead of being a straight line, would go around and make the circle.
Mm-hmm.
The backgrounds would change color. They would like fade through, and there was like a smoky shadow coming off of the circle. I was like, this is fucking chill as shit.
Yeah.
And it was nice enough when I looked at it. I would put it on another screen and do what I was doing. But what it is way better than is having your goddamn desktop on your TV or monitor. Some TVs now are huge. I don't want my desktop 65 inches in the living room or whatever it is, whatever the TV is. I'd rather just throw a nice visualizer up there, and it is less intrusive into the environment. Mm-hmm. Companies make such bananas decisions like that.
I guess. I mean, there are. I just glancing at the Microsoft Store here on my desktop. There were 2 free visualizer apps that could be downloaded.
Yeah, but
So I get maybe that's why they separated that team off from like the bloatware that would or from the Windows Media Player team. It still doesn't address the apparent absence of it on Xbox though.
So it's really hard for me to not get almost suspicious of companies when they do something like this. Like, it seems so obvious to me. Sometimes my first step is like, they're doing this for money and to betray me. Like, I'll give another example of something that happened recently. My YouTube app on my phone seems to have updated, and now I cannot manually move the slider for videos forward to a different section that I want to go to. And I thought there was just something wrong with my app. And like, I would click on the new one, it would start to load, and then it would just go back to where I was. So I Googled it, and it turns out YouTube app on your phone has added the ability to quote unquote fast forward. If you double tap in the corner, like on the right side of the app, you can skip 10 seconds ahead.
Why would they have changed that?
Well, because there wasn't a really good way to skip only 10 seconds. So I'm playing like...
Unlike long videos, if you tried to just click and drag, especially on a cell phone, you would skip like several minutes ahead when you
Yeah,
might just
but
wanna
they
skip a little
completely
bit.
got rid of that feature then, you're saying?
Well, since that update, I am unable to just drag the timer bar forward.
Well,
to
that's,
the
that's what I
settings.
mean. Like, it's fine to have the little fast forward button, but why would you get rid of the drag thing?
I don't know, and I don't even know. It only happens when I'm watching like 3.5, 4 hour. Well, I've only noticed on 3.5, 4 hour Dungeons and Dragons. I watch Geek and Sundry's Critical Role, and that's when I need to skip. And then like, you know, I'll watch an episode on one, like my work computer not logged in. So I go to where I'm logged in on my phone and it doesn't transfer over. And I literally had to click, I think it was like 400 times last night to get, 4,000
Yeah, that's
seconds ahead
outrageous.
or whatever. It was such a pain in the ass. Yeah, you're not having, Chris is over here on his phone. Well, actually, you got to release it and see if it actually goes forward. See, okay, what would happen is when I would release it, it would then jump back to where I tried to move it from. So maybe it's my phone. Maybe it's just a certain type of video that I'm working with. Because I also have a problem with those videos not loading. Even when I put it at the lowest setting and I have a ton of data, it pauses every 3 seconds for a half a second. It is maddening, and it only happens on those damn videos. So maybe there's just something with that channel. But have you noticed there's an option on your YouTube app on your phone to click download? You can download for offline listening.
Oh, and you don't
right?
need.
Well, guess what? When you click on it, it pops up as an ad for YouTube Red.
Yes,
Yep.
I was gonna say.
So that's what makes me suspicious of things like this, these little niceties disappearing. Like, are they going to try to make some money off of this? Which, it is what it is. But what an interesting little thing to notice. Can anybody else think anything else that has disappeared, like the visualizer Jake noticed off of your machines? I mean, there's still, I don't think there's Minesweeper anymore.
Might be.
I
looking at Windows 10
use
right now.
basic Windows functionality things so little anymore that
Minesweeper is still here.
I honestly could not tell you.
No, it's not. Never mind.
Oh, it's online.
You're just Bing searching it.
I remember there was some time when I was trying to troubleshoot before the podcast got going. We had a good solution. I was trying to use default sound managers, and I was like, oh, this would be really convenient to do. And then I would read about the program. They're like, yeah, they got rid of this feature for whatever reason. And it's interesting because I do work in software, and making changes that don't make any damn sense to the end user happens all the time. And it's the end user, you'd be like, why would they do this? And what it comes down to can be something as simple as like, they just didn't have time. Or we ran out of money. I'm working on a project right now that has been attempted 7 times before me.
By you or by other people?
By other teams. And I'm like, why didn't it fail? They go, they just ran out of money in this one iteration. So the next time they tried it again, they got more money, and then it was too much. And then I'm like, and they're like, or it just lost priority. It just wasn't a priority anymore. So like, the software development life cycle in my head is so idealistic when I look at these incredible products that are put out. I mean, the Xbox operating system, Windows, all this shit is fucking impressive. Like, okay, so Facebook updated the other day, and it changed its UI on a page refresh. There was no interruption of service on the user, and it just, whoop, no bugs. That was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah, that's why they pay their developers $120,000 a year to start.
Yeah, but then you get it in your head that like everything should be like that, and I don't know.
But isn't that like? See, while I agree that like that's expecting a lot out of the developers to do things, I appreciate that the industry in general, like there used to be a time, think about it, where 100,000 miles was like the end life cycle of a car, right? And because
before Japanese cars came onto the American market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but there were various reasons why even in the U.S., like a while ago, it was very, very, very difficult for them to make cars that were durable enough to last 100,000 miles. And a lot of that had to do with executives in Detroit thinking that they knew more about the consumers than the consumers knew about themselves, which is a different story entirely. But as time went on, they got better at manufacturing. The standards, because of the Japanese automakers, increased for what you expect out of a car, but everyone benefited from that, right?
Yeah.
You see what the high standard is, and now everybody else has to try and get close to that standard. They at least have to attempt to get closer to that status on a regular basis, or they're just going to get left in the dust. Yep. And that only is going to improve software indefinitely, right? To when you see you have that high standard, because I mean, even for the top level developers, like basically 20 years ago when you're looking at Windows 98, right? Think of what a disaster that was. And that was the premier software company at the time, Microsoft, right? Nobody else came close to Microsoft's development prowess, except I think IBM was still pretty good at shit back then. But then the dot-com bubble burst and that development kind of went to the back end again, where no one really gives a shit about it, especially when it comes to like supporting old, already developed software. Support was like always a last thought. It's like we need our best developers working on developing the new stuff to come out next so we could sell it, because as we've talked about before, software was more of a product than a service. So you got all your money up front and you got no money for supporting it. So as long as you could promise the biggest, best next thing, you could sell a ton of it up front and then not support it, and it wasn't going to impact your bottom line at all because people weren't paying for it on a regular basis.
Well, I think your consumer model didn't get a lot of money in the maintenance, but corporate support is it's big money. But well, therein lies one of the big things that I've learned, sort of being in the IT industry itself. The people making the product simply cannot see it from a user's point of view. It is impossible. They cannot do it. And it's not to deride them in any way. What I mean, it's like when you proofread your own essay, you're going to miss typos because your brain's seeing what you meant to write,
right,
not the typos that you actually put on there. So like you cannot create a product that will meet the user's needs 100%, because, you know, specifically in software, devs go and they go, well, this makes the most sense, so this is how I'll write it. And then the user goes, like, I don't give a fuck about this. You know what I mean? It's like, what is it? 80% of your users only use 20% of the features. So
then you have Google pumping out new features and everything that they have every week, and
and they're like, we want you to use this. You want this, and that's been something that's sort of gotten under my skin, is that companies, in an effort to sell more things or mine more data on you, want you to use new features, and you just don't want them. So there's like threefold reasons I could see why something that you don't like can happen. A company thinks it can make money by taking it away and giving it back again later. Company just didn't really have their shit together and they didn't know what the user wanted, or I forgot the third one.
Not enough money. Money or time.
They don't think it'll get them any money.
Yeah. So
it's worthwhile to include in their budget.
So I don't know. It's all pretty. I don't know why that visualizer would be gone, but it's just a neat. It is a neat little circle on like the weirdness of software that's released. Because what dev would sit around and be like, you know what, people, somebody wrote this, some intern wrote this 25 years ago, and we attached it to make them feel good. And I'm like, nobody cares about this thing. And now we're sitting around talking about it for 20 minutes.
I wouldn't say I'm not going to lose sleep or anything.
Yeah.
But it's not a decision I would have made.
Yeah, exactly.
I would have made exactly the opposite, and I have, I think, solid reasons. Because as the end user, I had this feature and used it and liked it. And while I don't necessarily use it often, I mean, I just figured this out, right? I've had an Xbox One for years, been using Windows 10 for years. Like, I just noticed. So clearly it's not like such a drag on my life. But at the same time, like, what if I wanted it?
You know,
it was there before.
It's interesting in like the technology world how the culture itself is so cyclic. Like talking to people about, you know, I've just always thought that like technology was a good field to be in. You talk to some of the older guys, and there was a time, you know, devs couldn't get work, developers couldn't get work because nobody fucking wanted them anymore. You know, it was like when IBM shut down a certain department, and all these really experienced guys were all over the industry. Like you couldn't get anything done. There for a long time, there was companies were outsourcing the shit out of their software because you can hire 10 people in another country for the price of one in America. And they found out that like while you can get a lot of product, the end result the customer doesn't like. Even though the company wants the customer to like it, for whatever reason, it just doesn't work as well in the market. So a lot of the jobs are starting to come back to the United States. in one way or another. And I've always had like a really small view because in my mind, technology started in the late 90s, right? We were still using analog wireless phones in 1997 when I lived in Northeast Philadelphia. And I was like, this is the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen. I can walk 20 feet away from the receiver. The technology started after that, but it's been around for forever. Reading about how IBM used to be like a real, I mean, I guess they're still big now, but they used to be like the bee's knees. HP used to make like incredible hardware. They've still got like multimeters, something or others from the 80s that sell for thousands of dollars because they were so well made back then. It's just nuts.
HP actually still makes some decent hardware when it comes to like not cheap but like mid-range
I think of
PC
printers.
products.
Exactly.
I think of printers and
that's
desktop
it.
towers.
Yeah, I mean when it comes to mid-range like Windows products, hardware-wise, HP's pretty competitive in their pricing where like you're going to get a lot of you're going to get a lot of horsepower for your buck. I bought a tower, like an HP tower, a couple of years. You were with me when I bought it at Best Buy.
I got mine a year later, also HP.
$500 got me enough to play any game on the market, most games at max settings.
When I read about like tech support guys and people fixing machines, they're like, we handle HPs all the time. They're always breaking down. So the feedback that I've been getting on HPs right now is that like their PCs, both laptops and towers, are
interesting. Because Jake and I have both had our PCs for. I mean, mine is going on its 7th year. It runs fine.
Yeah.
It's a little slow to boot up now, but I mean, it's fucking 7 years old. Of course it is.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously built my new Starship Enterprise recently, so I have that. But I still use the old one for some things.
Yeah.
My biggest hunk of shit computer I ever had was an HP. I mean, in the first year, the board shorted, so the audio outs didn't work, and then my video card got all fucked up. And it could have been the card, it could have been, I don't know, it could have been the board, the hard drive. It was just
general shit show. Yeah, that happens.
Yeah, that does happen.
But I've found when it comes to the towers, especially like you're basically getting like the computer equivalent of a Mustang, where it's just like, how can we give you as much horsepower as we physically can for the least amount of dollars?
Yeah.
And by the way,
and fuck everything else.
Yeah, and your rear axle is still going to be locked, so your wheels can't turn independently.
Yeah.
So you're going to spin out in the rain if you floor it.
All right. So Lisa and Genevieve are
Yes.
two silent partners.
Yes.
What are some brands of things that... Listen, we're trying to be a more diversified podcast, so forgive me for moving
That's why
away
we
from
have 6 white people here, too.
Yeah, damn
Oh,
it.
no.
You know what I meant. I meant just not... I didn't mean...
Boom.
Not diversity in how we look. I meant diversity in what we talk about.
Diversity in our hearts.
I'm black from the waist down. So.
Everyone go puke right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's some brands that you guys like? What's some brands? What is there a name that means quality to you guys? Is it Frank Lisa?
Lisa Frank.
Frank.
It's
Yeah.
Lisa Frank.
I don't know how
Was
Frank
that
did
clothes?
I told him about that for a Halloween
It's
idea.
like-
and he had, how do you
Like
not know what
notebooks,
this is? like those
binders,
You were both
pencils.
talking at the same time. It sounds like nonsense.
It's like stationery stuff, essentially, like school supplies.
Oh, okay.
And it's all like neon, bright colors. I think like they had
Yeah,
like
it was like cats and unicorns
and dogs.
I think you
and
explained why I don't know
tigers.
anything about it.
I thought everyone kind of knew about this.
Yeah, because it would like
I don't know
everyone
what we're
had
talking
them.
about.
Everyone had them in school.
You explained it, and I still don't know what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
Frank had no idea what
Oh
it
my
was.
God,
I was like, oh,
alright.
we should be
I'm
Lisa
finding
Frank for Halloween. He's
pictures.
like, what's that?
I'm finding pictures for you guys.
I sent him
'cause
pictures of it too. He still didn't know what it was.
All right. Any other good brands that you guys like?
Besides
Are we
Lisa
talking
Frank.
technology? I'm sorry.
I'm just asking. Are there?
Yeah.
You know, we say an HP. Does it mean quality or not?
HP means printers.
Any brand. Is there any brand that you guys think of good quality when you think of that brand? Lisa, you must have something.
I'm
Do you
thinking about
not
it.
buy so many different kinds of things?
No.
Clothes, foods.
Oh, we're not even talking about tech stuff now.
Oh, we can
It
talk
could be
about other things.
anything, any brand, anything.
Oh, Bic pens.
Bic pens.
Bic pens.
Bic. B-I-C.
Oh, I know
Also
what
lighters.
you said.
Oh yeah. Okay, go on. I'll think of something else.
What means quality to you? This brand of the most simple device ever created.
Hey man, I have had my share of shitty pens.
Really?
Oh yeah.
How the fuck do you have a shitty pen?
Yeah,
it's not a Bic.
Shit, because they're not Bic.
Yeah.
And or a good brand.
See?
I don't
The
like
names of
pens
which I
that
do
have
not
caps.
recall.
I need to have clicky pens.
Clicky pens are a superior form of pen.
Okay. That is not a brand, but
No, but
We'll
we're
take it.
talking about pens.
we've advanced
Bic
the
makes
conversation.
both is part of the point
Yeah.
here.
It's
but
not really a brand, but I'm a huge fan of Five Below.
Ooh.
Ooh, yeah.
It's a store.
It's a store.
Yeah, why do you like Five Below?
It is
For
a brand
quality?
of
Because
store.
It's a brand of store.
Is it quality?
Not really quality.
Opposite.
Clearly, because anything's $5 or less, but Five Below, if you will.
polished dollar store.
It's a what?
quintuple the maximum price.
It's a $5 store.
It's
Even though
$5.
Well, the Dollar General was already charging ahead on that front, right? Because it wasn't the dollar store; it was everything is an increment of $1 or like 99 cents or whatever.
Yeah.
Generally,
Here's
$1.
what about this? What if Bic, who already makes pens, starts making dildos and they just call them Bic's dicks?
Whoa.
That's $1 million idea, right?
Marketing
I mean-
genius.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
You're
Do you
welcome,
remember that
Vic.
old apocryphal story about how NASA spent $1 bajillion to develop a pen, and the Russians were like, "Let's just use pencils in
Yeah.
space."
Yeah. You're
Well,
like,
I read
garbage.
the explanation of that. It turns out graphite in space, graphite dust is incredibly conductive. And
Oh,
they're like,
no.
we don't want graphite powder to go into the machines and our scientists to explode. So let's spend a ton of money to make this pen, this pressurized pen. And then 6 months later, the Russians started using it too. So, all
I
this
didn't know
time,
that.
Yeah. It fucking.
Didn't know that.
Yep.
So I will call out a brand that I think is quality, which is Brooks Brothers.
I don't know anything
close.
about Brooks Brothers. I just think of the Blues Brothers.
Brooks Brothers is a clothing brand, for those who do not know. It is slightly higher end. It's definitely more expensive than your average clothes. They make casual clothing, but they're mostly dress clothes, right? Suits, shirts, ties, pocket squares, shoes, that sort of thing. They are not that much more expensive realistically than what most people are spending, I don't think, right? So, I mean, I don't know what most people spend, but if you have a job where you have to wear pants and a shirt, like a button-up shirt and slacks to work, do yourself a favor. Don't look like a slob. Go to Brooks Brothers and buy yourself your buy some decent clothes, right? You can get, generally they'll have sales where like if you buy a number of shirts, 3 or 4, you'll get a discount on the total price. So you can end up getting them for like $40 or $50 a piece. It is generally more than you're going to spend on your shirts, but they are high quality. So if you go to Macy's and spend $20 on the discount rack at a shirt, you're probably going to wear the elbows out after about a year to a year and a half, right? It's not going to happen in a Brooks Brothers shirt, right? You're going to hold on to that for 4 or 5, maybe even 10 years, all right? That means you're spending over time a decent amount less. And I'm assuming if you have an office job, it might be a little bit of a stretch, you can afford to go drop $200 on 4 shirts or 5 shirts, right?
And I think I'm of the understanding that if you buy nice clothing like that, it can be tailored more than once.
Generally, I mean, you're not going to tailor a shirt, right? But one of the nice things about
your pants, right?
You probably should get your pants tailored, yes. And yes, you can absolutely tailor them more than once, right? The cheaper stuff, no. But one of the things that's nice about a store like Brooks Brothers is they have everything fairly standardized with their clothing, so like they have different cuts of their shirt and they have everything in house, right? So you're not shopping like if you go to a Macy's or a Boscov's or any like of the main department stores where most people are buying their nicer clothes. You're gonna go there and they're gonna have 8 to 10 different brands that all fit differently. If you go to like the actual store for the company selling their clothes, Joseph A. Bank is another place that has decent quality stuff, right? They're going to have all of their own stuff. Their salespeople are going to know, like, okay, look, here are my dimensions, and they'll have, especially at a place like that, like an actual clothing store, they're going to have people with tape measures that will measure you up and say, this is the style, like the name of the fit, basically, that will not make you look like an idiot, right? This is what you want to buy. And then
It's Victoria's
consistently.
Secret for men.
Exactly.
Yep.
Are women's clothes finally moving towards a standardized measurement
No.
system?
No.
I have found that
No.
that women are now being granted pockets in their fucking pants.
Sometimes.
More often than
Somewhat.
I've ever seen.
Okay, there have
Like
been
half
pockets in the
pockets.
pants. Whether or not the pockets were real
Oh my
is the real
God.
question.
That's just a great band name.
I
Pockets
have
in the Pants.
Pockets in the pants. Because I have two pairs of pants.
You're
One
fired.
of them, the front pockets are fake. The other one, the back pockets are fake.
You only have 2 pairs of pants.
No, these are the two that I have the problem with.
Oh, okay.
I do have some pants that have 4 working pockets.
Okay.
It's great. They're my favorite pair.
I just don't understand. I don't understand the lack of pockets, and I don't understand why women's clothing doesn't just move toward, like, if I can fit in a 32, 34 in these pants, I'm probably going to fit in a 32, 34 in some other pants.
No, you should
No.
definitely, because that's 32 inches by 34 inches, and I would hope that everyone's tape measure is the same.
Yeah. The only difference that I run into is like the different kinds of cuts.
Yes, that's a difference.
Because I have really big calves, so if I get like a boot cut, it's comfortable, but if I get like a skinny cut, they're not getting up over my fucking
Ham
hams
hock.
here.
Yeah, I have no, like women's clothes. You can have like the large, medium, small thing. You can have numbered sizes.
Yes.
You can have.
And I'm
Sometimes
like-
I've just seen even and odd. Sometimes it's just the odd one. Sometimes it's the evens.
Yeah.
And none of it's actual measurements.
So any brands,
Not that I'm
any
aware of.
quality brands off the top of your head? Clothes? Does Victoria's Secret scream
They're actually
For
quality.
For quality, yes. I don't like a lot of their patterns though. They're like,
Yeah,
I don't know, a little too.
out there.
Yeah.
what about shoes?
Shoes.
Shoes.
Get some shoes.
I mean, I like
Oh my God.
Converse
Shoes.
and I like boots. Any boots, but that's
Okay.
Yeah,
That's kind of hard.
I have no idea what brand it is, but I feel like if you just buy
Bob's. Bob's shoes.
Bob's,
They're like Tom's,
oh,
but Bob's.
Bob's.
They're
Okay.
cheaper.
I know that guy. He's
Yes.
a prick. I hate him.
Yeah, I mean, I used to be one of those people that would go to like Forever 21. And I was like, oh, they have such great stuff. And then it hit me one day. I was like,
no,
I
not
can't
really.
wear this garbage.
Oh, H&M.
H&M is pretty good.
This has become a very weird subject for our podcast.
Well, no, I
Stuff
think
like
I'd
that.
heard that H&M was like,
They're
I don't know anything about
fine.
the quality, but that because they're like that really quick turnover fashion, they're like crushing foreign workers with the make new clothes or die.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I mean, Frank and I just went to the
Allegedly.
outlet malls today,
Mhm.
and they had some nicer stores like Banana Republic is good stuff.
Okay.
You know, they had an Ann Taylor there. They had
I'll tell-
Ralph
just
Lauren
brands.
Polo is always going to be good.
Yeah, I'll tell you an
I
interesting
know.
story where I ran into a branding issue. I had always enjoyed, and I still do, my Under Armour athletic wear. Right, and I played football. I played football for 8 years through high school. I've done sports ever since then. So, for 15, 20 years, I've enjoyed Under Armour and its quality. Well, one time I decided to buy Under Armour cleats, and they were trash. And everybody I talked to was surprised. They were just the fucking worst. And, I bought them for brand. I was like, I'll give them a try. They make good other shit, and they didn't make that good stuff. Apparently, they've gotten better in the years since, but...
It's like new territory for them, I guess.
Yeah, I don't
It's
know.
just-
I don't know if we've sort of moved away from this whole idea of one brand being known for quality now that there's so many different things that you can get, especially on the internet. Like I bought these Senso headphones that are waterproof and the bass sounds good and I enjoy them. But like, who the fuck is Senso? You know what I mean? I think it's just
The
another
Senso
Chinese
bean.
rebranding of whatever.
Well, I mentioned in a recent episode, my television is an Cosmo,
Jesus.
which I affectionately refer to as Orgasmo.
Uh-huh.
But it's a fine 40-ish inch television. It does the job. It isn't broken. I don't have to execute it by firing squad like my last flat panel TV
Mm-hmm.
that no one would fix.
No one would fix it?
No, it
Why
was
not?
I remember what brand it was. It was a beater. It was a discount brand. I got a refurb, and like when it stopped working, I went to Geek Squad. I went to a bunch of like local dedicated TV repair shops, and they were like, I mean, if you're determined to have us try, but the parts are hard to find, and when we do find them, they barely work. Okay, I'm shooting this.
Oh boy.
And that's what we did. But there's
Speaking
a
of
puppy in front of me.
I mean, related more to our typical topics, I've always thought of PlayStation hardware as quality.
Yeah, I would say that the PlayStation has, over its lifetime since the original PlayStation, had better quality than other consoles. I know N64 has had a lot of issues, especially with the cartridges, but that's why would they would even go for cartridges at the time that it's whatever, it's 20-some years ago. Xbox obviously had their issues. The first Xbox, obviously, you had to lift with a fucking crane. It was like 35,000 pounds, and
mine
massive.
Literally caught on fire.
Yeah, and they also
what?
they had an overheating problem. The second, the 360s also had an overheating problem.
My original Xbox had a lightning bolt go through it and still works. So
I was playing. I just finished playing a new session of Knights of the Old Republic on my original Xbox. And as I was saving the game, everything got hazy in front of my screen as I was laying in bed. I'm like, what the fuck? Is something wrong with my eyes? So I get up and I turn the light on, and there's smoke billowing out of the back of my Xbox. And I look in, and there's little flames dancing all over the board. I can see through the fan. I was like, oh, my God. I think a capacitor caught on fire or something. But, yeah, literally.
What'd you do to put it out? Or
I let it burn out. I don't know. What was I going to do?
I don't know.
Plugged into the wall, you know. I'm not gonna throw water on it. Just hope for the best.
Okay.
Sometimes it's what you gotta do.
I would say, for those that like Scotch, quality brand, Glenlivet and Macallan.
Yeah, you know what? I guess there are still things that people can buy for quality, and the tough thing is, maybe those quality brands are having difficulty recently because a lot of people will compromise on quality for affordability. But, you know, thinking about games specifically, like Bethesda, you know what you're getting when you get a Bethesda game, right? I mean, pretty darn good story. Going to be a shitload of bugs. David Cage earlier, I know I'm going to get a fun story, but it's going to be fucking weird. Too on the nose. I think a good example of that would be, you mentioned Bloodborne.
FromSoft, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Demon Souls, Dark Souls 2, Bloodborne, Dark Souls 3. Those are 5 all high-quality games. Complaint that some people have might be that they are all extraordinarily similar and have the almost exact same mechanics across all 5. So you really have to like that style of gameplay. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you're not, like, it's just the same thing over and over and over again. I understand that. But if you like it, you're getting very consistent product.
So you recently picked up the remastered version of one of those? I did,
yes.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit about that?
So the graphics were not as much of an improvement as I would have expected for a recently remastered edition in 4K. But it still looks better. Well, I mean, considerably better than the original Dark Souls. And the frame rate is running at a consistent 60 frames per second, which I always appreciate a lot. And it's got all of the major bugs of the first one pretty much out. I mean, it runs. There's no issues with any of the things that happen. The original Dark Souls, especially on Xbox 360, suffered from a lot of performance issues in certain parts. It had some weird glitches that you could kind of deal with, and I don't know. It was pretty clear that it wasn't fully finished before it was out, and it was clearly also designed more for PS4, and Xbox and PC were afterthoughts. Not the case with the remastered edition. So it's nice to have an updated, refreshed copy of a game that's so fun. And for those who have not played the game, I can't recommend it enough. I mean, you know, granted, if you're a pretty casual gamer, you know what? No, if you're a casual gamer, you should still be able to play this game and get a lot of enjoyment out of it. What I would recommend, if you're not looking for a very hardcore experience where you will probably get slightly frustrated, then watch some YouTube videos of the game. Watch a Let's Play of it before you get on there. Familiarize yourself with the game and learn what it takes to, as the people in the community tend to say, get good, right? If you do that, the game is not hard at all. The game is hard for the people who go in blind because it doesn't hold your hand. You get a very simple tutorial at the beginning, which essentially consists of here's the controls, and that's it. And then they ship you on your way to the main part of the map, and you have no instructions on how to advance the storyline or the game, which is the storyline is not very apparent.
You have to kind of dig it up.
Yeah, you have to go looking for the story. You are given one NPC at the starting area of the game who tells you to go ring 2 bells. You don't know where they are. In fact, a lot of people tend to even miss the fact that you have to go, like he says, you need to go ring 2 bells. And then from there, it's just kind of like, that's it. That's like the direction that you get.
But you recommend the remastered version?
Yes, yeah. If you haven't played the first one, the remastered edition is much more pleasing to look at, and not that the industry was. I think Dark Souls, the original, came out in like 2010, 2011. Not that the industry was significantly different back then, but still, if you think about it, performance issues and bugged games were a little bit more tolerated back then. Nowadays, if a game doesn't run absolutely perfectly smoothly on release day, people trash it endlessly, which isn't the worst thing in the world. We have standards. If you buy a game, you expect it to work, especially if you're spending $60 on it. But the remastered edition does not cost $60, and it does work great.
That's awesome. All right. In the interest of time, I think we're just going to pivot quickly to our final section. Steam sale's going on right now, so instead of doing the normal thing, I think we're just going to take a look at the store, and if we see anything that we recommend right in front of us, we'll give you a little reason why, and we'll talk about it. Oh, here we go. The Wolfenstein franchise, 40 to 75% off. Chris, would you like to weigh in on what you think about some of this stuff?
Don't get New Colossus for $23.99.
60% off. You still don't like it for that price?
Nope.
Why not? Wow, that's surprising. What about the 2-pack?
Wolfenstein: The New Order and The Old Blood.
Nice big pause here on the microphone as Chris reads.
For the 2-pack
Might
for
be a what?
$15, then maybe, yeah.
Okay, all right.
For the two,
Still
for the
not
old
that
one.
exciting.
Well, the new one was a buzzkill, but that's going to take too long for me to go into my amendment, which I think I may have gone into already, of my assessment of the game.
The Divinity series, 20-90% off. We don't really need to go into that. I don't know anything about it other than name recognition. If you can, the series I think is pretty long running. If you can find a good old one for 90% off, that's never a bad idea. The Rainbow Six series, 50 to 66% off. The recent installment, Rainbow Six Siege, is a little bit older, but people are still singing high praise for it.
Yeah.
50% off at $20. I guess it did come out in 2015, but if you can...
Came out late. It basically came out in 2016.
If there's still an active community,
There is.
Then it's totally worth $20.
One of my friends at work plays that game a lot, and he says that it's still extraordinarily active. There's always people online of all abilities. People are just getting into it now. Yeah, $20 I think is I think that's good for that game. You're gonna get a lot out of it.
I recall really liking, and this is the Tom Clancy or the Rainbow Six collection. I do remember playing the first Rainbow Six Vegas, I think.
I heard that was really solid.
Yeah, I liked it. It was hard. I liked it a lot. I didn't play really any others. I did attempt to play the very first Rainbow Six, but the copy I got was broken for my PC at the time, and I couldn't. So
Rainbow Six Vegas is 66% off for $339. I mean, that's hard to beat. Little weirdness I ran into the other day. I had a game on my wish list. I think it was Oh My Gore. And you got it for under $1. You got
50
it for
cents.
50 cents. It went on sale again, and they wanted $2 this time. And I was like, well, that's still a great deal. But I know it goes to 50 cents sometimes, so I'm going to pass. I feel like
I could buy one quarter of a beer at the bar for the money I'll
half a
save.
beer at one bar.
Yeah.
All right,
it's
what
true.
else? What else we got on
Used to
the?
be a whole beer.
I'm not seeing on the page here,
What
but I'll
was
mention
that?
it because
What's the council?
Well, we'll get into that. I want to mention this first. It's not here on the front page, but I picked it up for $8 on Steam sale. Fury, Furi. I still haven't played it yet, but I have seen quite a bit of gameplay, and I listen to the music all the time, just in my day-to-day activities, because the soundtrack is so sweet. So I'm going to go ahead and recommend that right now to anyone who cares for $8. It looks really fun.
How much is Dragon's... I think I'm going to have to get the game. How much is Dragon's Dogma listed for? $9.99, 67% off.
$9.89.
And that, I recognize that too. I couldn't tell you why. This is one of those great times. There's just so much shit you can try out for $10 a pop.
It just feels like less of a commitment to like try new things.
Yeah, and you can stack yourself up for 6 months with games right now until the Steam Winter Sale comes around. So right now we're looking at the console.
This just came out.
Experience a narrative adventure when your choices and character growth truly matter. As a member of 1793 Secret Society, live a tale of intrigue and manipulation on the hunt for your missing mother. Very positive, very positive.
For a second, I thought this was the Order, and I was going to be shocked, but no, this is the Council.
Yeah. 15% off. This sounds like a game that somebody cares about, and they want it to get a little bit of attention. You know what I mean? They're like, well, it's a brand new game. Maybe we don't need to list it for sale, but here's a 15% off to get people intrigued.
Did it just come out this year?
It came out on the 13th of March in 2018.
Okay, so yeah.
I mean, just from the small little trailer we've seen, I know it's obviously not like a big budget game, but like I've seen nicer looking games.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this one looks like a little...
I've seen worse, honestly.
It looks pretty
it's
good.
not
I've
bad.
definitely seen much worse, but it looks like it's not the prettiest game I've seen. I've seen some games where like the visuals really blow me away.
The animations are not as smooth as you would see from a AAA game, but the graphics themselves, the textures are all fairly. I mean, they're well done.
Well, they're not terrible, but they're not stunning.
I mean, this for a $23 game, this does look pretty fucking good. Everything that's like stationary looks really good. It sort of makes me hopeful that they deem that their value in the game to list it for $23, even though it's not like a big name, is somewhere else, like in the gameplay. Like they know they put good value in there somewhere.
That's what I'm hoping for.
And I'm really intrigued by this, specifically because of my experience with Black Wake. And I was like, $12, $15 is too much for that game. Then I picked it up, and it turned out to be an absolute winner. Neat little skill tree going on. Some guy with a little bit of facial hair talking about how they do the dialogue system.
I'm not seeing much in the way of like combat. It looks like kind of a...
I think it's more of a narrative adventure.
Kind of like Detroit.
Kind of like Detroit Become Human.
That's
like
interesting.
that.
That's interesting for $25.
I might have to budget I think I'm going to have to budget myself for some games and actually pick up some new, bigger... City Skylines perennially on sale
is that,
again. 75% off.
What's that Isaac game that's there?
The Binding of Isaac.
My brother actually, like a year ago, I don't know who it was, but he was watching playthroughs of it, and I watched a couple of them. It looks really fun.
It's a tremendous
$8.99.
game.
It looks really good. I think it's on Switch too. As well. It's on Switch as well.
Whatever it came out on, it immediately went to everything else because it was so good.
Yeah.
I think this is actually the sequel, Binding of Isaac Rebirth. And this is for $9, which the first one would totally be worth, but it's old at this point. The complete bundle, that's what I'm looking for. $23 for 2 games and then a DLC, really. The only thing that really has impressive percentage off would be the Binding of Isaac Rebirth, 40%. The Afterbirth and the Afterbirth Re-Afterbirth or something. I don't know, 33% off, 25% off.
I don't know if the price is quite worth it because I'm not quite sure the depth of how much you'll get out of it, but I've heard the game is very good and it looks good.
It is a high quality roguelike. It is one of the original Binding of Isaac was absolutely tremendous. And like I said, it came onto the scene on PC and was so good it went everywhere. We talked about it briefly when we talked about roguelikes. New level generation each time you play through, but you run into bosses that you recognize. It's worth $23.
Yeah.
Is that a great sale price? Probably not. But will you get your money's worth? Yeah, absolutely.
I'm liking that then.
What the fuck? There's a spooky ghost of a tale.
Spooky with a little mouse.
What is this little mousy mouse? Aww. This seems like a Genevieve game.
I do like little mousy
RPG
mouse.
Game in which you play as Tylo.
Action RPG.
Tylo Yiannopoulos. a mouse and minstrel.
A Greek mouse.
a Greek gay conservative mouse.
Whoa. Okay.
Through stealth and cunning, you'll be able to explore the secrets of Dwindling Heights Keep and navigate its dangers.
Okay.
It's got that gritty texture, but holy shit, man!
Yeah,
this
this
really
does look like a Genevieve game.
this looks fucking cool. There's giant rats walking around
You
as
have
guards.
like a what is that? What was that on your back? Is it like a loot or something?
It looks like it.
Salute.
Yeah, you know this. What a testament this is to
Oh, the evil rat.
Fuck that rat.
how far you can come as small-time developers. Like,
It looks good.
This
Yeah,
looks
this
really
is quality.
good, and I don't
The
think
environment's
it.
amazing looking.
Yeah.
I think a lot of this stuff is like a little above standard at this point. Like,
No, it looks really, really good.
oh man, and like this,
It almost smacks a bit of Dark Souls to it,
right?
and it's like aesthetic.
Yeah.
N-
It's
not
got kind of
not
like a
as
dark
dark,
thing.
of course.
No, but it's got that darkish kind of creepy.
This makes me
Gritty,
think a little
creepy,
bit of
dirty.
the Secret of Nim too.
It reminds
Yeah.
me a bit of. Did you guys play the Hobbit video game?
No.
Oh.
It reminds me a little bit of that, just in like the way the mouse is jogging on its two hind legs like a human,
But also like a mouse would. If
but
it
also
was,
kind of it's like
'cause
slightly
it's not really
dark,
human. But
like the Hobbit game. It's reminding me a lot of that. In
Alright.
the
the
same
sunlight
way.
effects. That
What's
is
this
amazing.
listed
Yeah.
for?
It looks kind of Tolkien-y.
Is it
some
$20
of this
bucks?
Yeah.
stuff.
Is it?
We're in full screen. We can't see it. $20. All right. I mean,
Might have to.
I'm thinking my because
I
I'm
have to get
actually going to
that.
buy a number of games during the Steam sale. I think my budget, instead of being $10, is going to be about $100. I'm getting this game.
It
Okay.
looks really,
you
really
and I,
good.
Genevieve and I,
I
are
would
going
love
to
to
play the
play
shit
this
out of
game.
this. This looks so cool.
See
a
this
lot
one?
like what was that string game you played the other day?
Oh, Unraveled.
Unraveled. This reminds me a lot of that.
Yeah,
It
this
does
one,
look like it.
the graphics, aren't they more strikingly good? They're better than that other one, right? The one that I
Oh,
mentioned,
yeah.
the council.
But it looks like a nicely imagined world.
Yeah.
With it, some of the combat mechanics reminded me of like friggin' Crash Bandicoot or whatever. You know,
No, but there's like
going back to
thoughtful
fundamentals.
detail in the background in the world. It looks
I mean,
like.
just look at that.
Unbelievable.
The artwork
It
is
looks so
a
good.
And I know I'm not one to predicate the value of a game based on how good it looks, but just in the brief video, everything about this looks like somebody gave a shit, and it's hard to go wrong when so many people care enough that it is really obvious.
Yeah, it
See,
looks
you
looks
say
both
that-
dark and adorable, and I don't know how
Ghost
to deal
of a
with it.
Tale.
Ghost of a Tale. It's on my wish list.
Okay. Don't Starve franchise. Don't Starve is a pretty. I think I've seen a little bit of activity on this. 50%
looks a little
off,
Tim
75%
Burton-y.
off.
It does
Yeah.
look Tim Burton.
It is a really, really good series.
Is it like a survival thing?
I think so.
Yeah, if you don't pick up the first Don't Starve for
Isn't it like-
$3.75, you're doing yourself a disservice.
It's like Minecraft, but right? Or you have to like keep getting resources.
Wilderness
and-
survival game full of science and magic.
Ooh, it's pretty neat. Like 2D art on a 3D plane. That looks pretty cool.
That
Yeah,
looks
it's got
worth-
like an isometric
It looks
feel.
worth
How much is
$3,
it?
$3.74. Yeah,
Yeah, that might happen too.
75 off.
All right, I think we got time for one more.
Let's see.
Shit, the
Those
long,
are
I've
recommended.
heard some good things about the Long Dark.
the long dark doesn't have any sale on it though, does it?
I think it's just recommended.
75% off. Game over.
$7.50.
Fuck, done.
$7.50.
Done.
Dawned it on.
Oh.
All
I'm
right.
sorry, just her face was like.
Oh yeah, it has kind of like a cell shade-ish
No, but it
style
looks
to
Yeah,
cool
it
it.
looks a lot like Telltale.
It's different.
Yeah.
No, I like it. I just was expecting
Oh, look at
realistic.
that.
And no.
This is going to be $7.50 of my $100. So.
Ooh, I'm liking this one a lot too.
All right.
Yeah.
I guess we'll go around. Since I imagine that we're all going to buy more than one on Steam sale,
Yes.
or none at all, whatever. I will say that I'm definitely going to buy The Long Dark, Don't Starve, the original, and I'm going to buy that Ghost of a Tale with the mouse thing. Chris, did you see anything on there that really made you?
I'm digging this long dark situation.
Okay.
They're fighting bears with flare guns and
Yeah,
shit.
like this is fun.
Fighting
No,
bears.
that was a wolf. No, that's a bear. Oh no!
Yeah, that's a bear.
He's just misunderstood.
He just wants hugs.
All right, Genevieve,
Aw.
what are you thinking?
I want the Long
Bully
Dark.
for $5.24. Dark Souls 3 for
I
$15.
like the Long Dark.
Fable
and-
for $8.74. Done.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. And was it Ghost of a Tale?
Yeah.
The mouse game.
Whatever that Valley thing is for $3.99, 80% off. Fuck it, I'll try it. It looks cool.
Oh, Bully's up.
Lisa, what are you getting?
I think, I don't know, Long Dark looked really cool, that one we saw.
Yeah.
I think that one's good. Binding
we
of
could usually
Isaac.
burn a whole episode doing
Oh, yeah.
this.
Binding of Isaac, I think if it was on sale a little bit better would be commendable, but I think it's still a little pricey.
Yeah,
But
that wish
definitely
list,
a
that bad
game.
boy.
Yeah.
Frank.
I think Dark Souls 3 for $15 is a great deal. I think I may have seen it before. Also, Baldur's Gate 2, incredible game, $5. That's my trip.
Wait, shut the front door and shut the fuck up.
Oh my goodness.
Train Sim World CSX Heavy
Yes.
Haul?
Yes.
77% off? All other games don't exist. That's what we gotta get. Oh
Don't
my
even
god,
look
that
at it,
fucking
just
Blood
buy
Bowl
it.
game's on there. It's like goblins versus trolls playing football.
Blood Bowl.
This war of mine.
What is
70%
FAR
off.
loan sales?
We said we were going to wrap up, but there's just too many good
It's
options
over.
here. Like,
Everybody, just get on. any
Buy
game you-
everything.
Dude, there's so much good shit on here. Once again, thanks for joining us. I think the theme of today is if gaming is your hobby, then treat yourself
Treat Joseph.
and give yourself the tools to enjoy it a lot. Once again, thanks for joining us. Big news this next week. I'm building the website.
Yay!
Will it be dog shit?
Yes.
Yay!
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but we'll get
Yes.
there someday, okay? But we will have a website at tgnaplay.com. Thanks for sticking with us. Thanks for moving forward with us. And as always, don't forget, cock 'em, lock 'em, and rock 'em, baby. Shh.